I don't know why you're trying to escape, but it ain't gonna work. I'm trying to fucking start a stream, and a certain bird is trying to escape.
Alright.
No. Why would you do that?
Well, she wanted to escape.
That doesn't mean you open the cage. I step away for 5 seconds to fucking get my phone so that I can keep an eye on chat, and you try to fucking let the bird out.
Well, I need to fix something.
What do you need to fix?
This. Her food tray.
No.
This came undone.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
Close that cage, close the cage, close the cage. She's trying to escape. Close the cage.
I don't blame her. Look inside that cage. She's like, I want out.
I get that, but okay.
Yeah, she's showing her displeasure, Ben. She just pissed right there.
Okay, I don't care. Please go sit down. Okay. Alright, that works. Let's actually get onto the game. I'm leaving this stream unlisted because this game doesn't exist on Twitch, as most visual novels don't. Yeah, doesn't exist. So this one's staying unlisted, as with the last one. I might upload it, because I think I uploaded the last one to YouTube as well. So this one might end up on YouTube. Let me check the volumes and see that I appear to be being heard. I had to up the volume on this one because I wanted to make sure everyone could hear the game. Because this is a visual novel, so I want to make sure everyone can hear the characters talking. Yes! Literally the last episode is like one of the first videos on my channel. Okay. I'm going to start now. I bought episode 2, so we can see Happy Trails. The sound whips through the air. But from what? And who? What the fuck am I listening to? I look around, but I don't remember telling myself to turn my head. Like I'm a trapped observer in my own body. There are people crowded around me and gasping. There are trees, too. A whole clearing of them, in fact. A few of them are even lined up in a row. All of them are dripping. Not with sap, not with water or dew, not as nature intended. Drips with fresh green paint, it bleeds into the bark. I look at the first tree, and there's a tail. From where I'm standing, it looks like it connects to the next tree in the row. A long serpent-like body painted through it. This goes for too long. Each tree dripping paint down to the soil, entombing its roots. Then finally, at the last tree, there's the head of a dragon. It's wearing a baseball cap and smoking a blunt. I know it's a blunt because the smoke is a lighter shade of green. The smoke that surrounds me. Smoke that becomes a fog.
Eve! What are you doing?
A voice sprang out of the fog. I recognize it. Her, Jessie. Why does she sound scared? Why does she sound shocked? Why does she sound furious?
Teaching him a lesson!
She's remembering when she punched the guy and broke his jaw. Did I? Is that what I did? What did I do? On the ground, there's a man withering on the dirt, sobbing into a patch of grass. He's covering his mouth. his nose. Blood seeps through his fingers. Blood seeps into the dirt.
You bitch! What the hell? You broke my jaw! You broke my jaw!
His voice is muffled. The words tumble out in a panic.
Yeah? Well, your fucking neck is next!
Holy fuck, can we calm down?
Don't you take another step!
My hand, I assume it's my hand, is balled up into a fist. Blood speckles in the knuckles. I open it up and stare at my palm. So what was the crack?
Oh god! It hurts! This is assault, you whore! I'll press charges! Sue you and this entire park!
This is one fucking nightmare, my god. Oh. Crack was the sound his face made when my fist hit it.
How about I work those charges up to murder, then?
Can we calm? Can we chill just for a second? He reels back, raising his hands to shield himself. Green paint staining his hands, beginning to mix with the blood. I start to stomp over to him. Stomp, stomp. Stop, stop.
Stop! You've gone too far this time, Eve. Not far enough. Not until he's learned some respect.
Oh my god. Stop. Jesse tackles me from behind, restraining me with a full Nelson.
Get off of me!
Please stop.
All you're doing is incriminating yourself. Now stand down! No! I don't care anymore!
I elbow Jessie in her gut, struggling to break free, but her grip is like a locked chain. Someone stop her.
This is an order, Adams!
Someone stop me. Stop.
Eve!
Stop.
Eve!
I shoot up in bed. Sweat sticks to my pajamas. Breath tickles into my suffocated lungs as I gasp desperately for air. A pair of arms wraps around my chest like a constrictive rope. Well, hey there, Yellowstone. Why? With a few grunts, I wriggle into my side. Onto my side. My cheek rolls into a shallow pool of drool as I'm confronted with Zion's... sorry, fuck me. I even called her Yellowstone 5 seconds ago. Yellowstone's murmuring face and buffalo print pajamas. They are adorable pajamas, by the way.
Administration is gonna flip your fries and malt.
Malts are fucking delicious. If you've never had a malt, you are missing out.
Please describe to people what a malt is.
Okay, it could be a mispronunciation of like a patty melt, but if it is what I think a malt is, I believe it's some sort of mixture of like it's either alcohol in ice cream or it's soda in ice cream. It's sort of like a float. I could be wrong about this. It's also another way to refer to liquor. Snuggling up to me, she squeezes me tighter. I think I prefer Jessie putting me in a submission hold. I should put in a request for a door. Yellowstone gives an unconscious grunt, then snores into the fabric of my shirt. Scratch that, I should put in a request for a door with a lock. I fall back onto my pillow. Then the faded morning light glitters through the window, anchoring me to the present, where my worst mistakes are behind me. Just over my shoulder, but still behind me. The mini volcano protruding from Yellowstone's head puffs out light dots of smoke, matching the rhythm of her breath. I follow the smoke until it dissipates into the padded ceiling. Okay. From there, I count the wooden beams that run across it. There are some nightmares we relive every day. That's a rough one, though. You seemed incredibly unpleased with what you were listening to. Or experiencing.
That's it. I'm switching to decaf before bed.
Don't drink caffeine before bed. It's just gonna make you restless.
Ben, you did that before, remember?
Fuck you. It was once, and it wasn't technically caffeine, it was a Red Bull.
It was a Red
Oh
Bull
wait,
mixed with
okay,
coffee.
I did drink like a Starbucks double shot before bed once. Okay,
How
so
about are people judging you now?
don't fucking worry about it. Me and my bad drinking habits are my problem alone. And I haven't done that in at least 4 years.
Right, Vodka was yesterday.
Wait. Not 4 years. 3 years. No, I did not drink vodka. Please don't lie to people again.
You drink coffee 3 days ago, though.
No. In association with Sekai Project. National Park Girls. Episode 2. Amazing! I somehow managed to look mildly more dead inside than I usually do. My god. I poke at the resting crow's feet that have nested in the deep bags beneath... Oh, crow's feet, my bad. That have nested in the deep bags beneath my eyes. There's a brief lightning strike of panic. A moment where where the blades of morality slap me across the face. But it subsides, and I swallow my emotion with a yawn. Close one. I'm just tired, but at least I'm not exhausted. Not today. Not even yesterday, in fact. I slip on my uniform and button my shirt. My badge pinned to my chest, crooked and clinging to the wrinkled fabric. It might distinguish my authority as a ranger. But in the end, it's just a hunk of metal. People generally get the message once they see the hat and khakis.
Don't forget about the dishes,
Accurate.
Yellowstone.
Yeah, once they see the hat and the khakis, they're like, oh shit.
I'll hop right on it.
Just like
Yellowstone! Is my oatmeal ready yet?
And then green,
I hope
and
it
then
has
yellow.
raisins. I like those.
Oh my god.
All the raisins you want, cutie. Just need a sec.
How are you getting raisins? Yellowstone zips across the cabinet. Across the cabin. To a stack of dishes teetering on her head. A stack of dishes teetering on her head as she bends to grab the trash and loose the clothes. And loose clothes. Hunching over the table, Yosemite flips a page in whatever tome she's reading today. Her fist glued to her chin. A castle of stacked mugs skirting next to her elbow. Zion sits crisscross applesauce on the floor, stroking Pup's coarse fur. His bony frame curled up on his brand new doggy bed. Pup stretches his silent... Let me get a redo on that one. Pup stretches. His silent yawn shaping into a faint howl. Or coyote bed, I guess. Why didn't you put that... That feels like it should have been after doggy bed. Not after that sentence that just went across. I step out of my corner of the cabin right as Yellowstone comes charging past the divider curtains. Our foreheads crack together, skin and stone colliding. Well, what are you doing? Don't worry about it. She's fucking with it. Don't even think about trying to escape, bird. I know what you're thinking. Don't do that. She's figured out she can move the food trays that are connected to little sliders. And so she's trying to move the food trays. Oh no, she's just going for the door now. Okay, she's given up. Crisis averted.
For now.
She's not given up. She's returned. Okay.
This bird is like, I'm getting out here one way or another. You can't keep me in furry jail forever.
Back to reading, I guess. A rough edge of her volcano scrapes across my forehead. I stumble back. My hands jerk up to soothe the pain. But a leaning tower of dishes slides towards me before they shatter before my very eyes. I push against them. Yellowstone's head jolts up to balance the plates. One sticks out like a Jenga piece. Otherwise, no damage. I breathe a sigh of relief. I breathe out a sigh of relief.
Holy smokes! I'm so sorry. I was gearing up for laundry and I wasn't thinking and
Don't worry about it.
Yellowstone.
I grip her shoulders and cut off her babbling.
It's okay. I'm only slightly irritated.
That's very nice of you. You are on the receiving brunt of pain here. Her skin is pale enough to make me think her soul has been sucked from her body.
Nuh-uh, no way. I goofed. What if you got cut? Then Yosemite would yell at me and I'd need to scrub the blood off before it stains and oh no. Coffee.
What's wrong with coffee? Panic fumes the color back into her. It's pumps, isn't it? Panic pumps the color back into her.
Oh jeez, not good, not good.
She curls her hand into a fist and swats her volcano. The dishes wobble over.
Stupid.
Oh my god, calm down, girl. Holy shit. This is not something you need to be worried about. It's just coffee. And over.
Why do I keep screwing things up?
And over.
This is not Hippie Skippy!
What the fuck is Hippie Skippy?
Alright, let me look up.
Oh god.
English. Now.
I forgot to make your coffee, Eve!
Oh my god, calm down. It's not that big a deal. This is almost too exhausting for me to deal with. I might even laugh if I didn't look her... What?
Is it a sarcastic interjection?
Okay. I don't think that's how she used it. This is almost too exhausting for me to deal with. I might even laugh if it didn't look like her heart was about to swan dive out of her chest.
Is that it? Don't get so worked up. I can do it myself.
Really? You're not gonna give me a knuckle sandwich? Because I'd give me a knuckle sandwich.
Poor girl. Like, what has Yosemite been doing to you? Has Yosemite been bullying you, Yellowstone? She raises her fist to clonk herself over the head again. Yosemite glances up, more interested in polishing off the page she's on than anything around her.
Hey, quit it.
Yeah, I didn't think she'd be bullying her. Yosemite seems a little violent, but not significantly so. Why are you expecting to get punched? She stuffs her nose back into her book.
And don't forget about the laundry.
Concerned, Zion whips around to look at us. For at least the 20th time, this week, I find myself wondering how such a small girl can hold so much panic.
Please don't hurt yourself. It makes me sad.
She doesn't hit herself, but everything else they said must have gotten drowned out. Yellowstone's eyes swirl in their sockets, or swim in their sockets, landing on random corners of the room, like something is about to leap out and eat her.
You holding up okay?
Her eyes flutter, then focus on me. She grins and shoots me a thumbs up, proof enough for me that she never hopped off her usual non-stop sugar rush.
Yep, just dandy. That's just a little sore from when you shoved me out of bed.
I slop past her, pushing out one last yawn as I start for the kitchen.
Stay out of my bed. I'm not the cuddling type.
Aw, but your bed is so soft and cozy. Just like you, Dollface.
I'm not sure which one I feel first, my eye twitching or my cheeks burning. It's all made worse by Yosemite snickering up behind me with the safety of her book. Or snickering behind me with the safety of her book. The coward.
Can it, before I pour coffee in your head.
I wonder what that would do.
What's the matter? Big bad ranger gaining a little weight? Does she not have abs of steel?
Oh my god.
No, but she has fists of them.
This is probably accurate. She did break a dude's jaw.
The scariest thing about that threat is how stale it's gotten.
Has she used this threat before? I huff towards the sink and ignore her, choosing to fill up the percolator instead. It's not my fault Yellowstone uses a stick of butter in all her cooking.
Say, do you care if I rake up all your dirty clothes? It's laundry day.
Laundry? What a novel concept.
What, cleaning your clothes? Yeah, that's... I don't know how novel I would call it. It's just proper hygiene. If you don't clean yourself, you're gonna get sick. Yosemite mumbles loud enough for the point to get across. Yellowstone's smile fades and her gaze droops down.
Go ahead. Knock yourself out.
With pleasure.
So I want to say the focus was mostly in the last one, in episode 1. I want to say that the focus felt like it was mostly on Yosemite and Eve. And from what I saw of the pictures of this one, it feels like this one, the focus is more on Yellowstone and Eve. Which is certain to be, at least in my opinion, hello Amai. In my opinion, it's certain to be a little bit more interesting if we're focusing on Yellowstone rather than Yosemite. Because, well, Yosemite's, like, all into the philosophy aspect of why they exist. And that's interesting. Yosemite is also extremely pessimistic. I need to do something actively, not to be doing stupid things, so I'm chilling right now. Alrighty. Yellowstone is just so much more upbeat and happy than Yosemite. So I think this episode's gonna be a little bit more fun than the last one. The last one was really like full on the how do I want to put this? Like the questioning of why we're here, and I guess more focused on like Eve and her personality. Oh well, I have to go now too. All right. Have a nice day then. Okay. She slinks behind the corner as Zion watches intently, observing Yellowstone as she gathers up my clothes. This does bring the question. Take care. Thank you. I'll see you next time. Or whenever I see you. This does bring the question. If Zion... if the next one is going to focus a little bit more on Zion. Because we haven't focused that much on Zion, but apparently this one focuses more on Yellowstone. And I feel like the first one focused a lot on Yosemite. Okay. She slinks behind the counter. Zion watches intently, observing Yellowstone as she gathers up my clothes. Zion's attention drawn away, and in desperate need of more morning pets, Pup hops out of his bed and braves the world. He buries his snout in my legs, and let the percolator fill up with water and bend over to scratch his ears. Oh, I let the percolator fill up with water and bend over to scratch his ears. He leans in, grunting in ecstasy, his ears flopping up and down like a flag in the wind. If choking on some dumbass... Oh, if clocking some dumbass in the face gets me a suspension and banished here, then I can only imagine what Jessie would do if she found out I wasn't just feeding Pup, but housing him as well. Oh, I think you'll be fine. I crack on the stove. I crack on the stove, wow. And pour in the coffee grounds. I gaze out the window and wait for the coffee to boil. Percolators are actually really fucking easy to use, by the way. Once you figure out how to do it. I've made coffee in a percolator a lot. The problem is, like, caffeine fucks me up. So I can't drink coffee that often, or I get just massive stomach aches that make me want to vomit. This goes, like, for everything else that has caffeine in it, too. If I drink too much of stuff with caffeine in it too quickly, I will just start having stomach problems. Across the road and past the field, I spot the butt end of a motorhome big enough for me to know someone is compensating for something. Even when muffled by a wall of trees, their argument carries across the clearing. A man. Oh dear. A woman. Today's idiot. Definitely married. Today's other idiot. Those germ shacks are publicly funded miracles. DOI willing. Ungrateful asses.
Just listen to them, Pup.
His ears perk up and his head tilts. I think he's listening to me instead. He looks at me instead.
They'd rather sleep in a tin can than a tent. How do you mess up camping that bad?
That is a good question. I've camped before. It's a lot of fun, except when except when a wild porcupine wanders into your camp because you put out the fire. So it just wanders into your campsite. And I'm not talking a small wild porcupine. I'm talking like I was maybe 10 at the time. No, I was like 11. And the porcupine, I was like 5. No, I was like 4'9" or something. The porcupine was like up to my chest in height. This thing was fucking massive for a porcupine. Like, if it got on its back legs, it would be taller than I was. If it got on its hind legs, it would be taller than I was. And this thing just wandered into our fucking camp. Pup paws at my leg. Sorry, almost choked. Pup paws at my leg. A desperate plea for pets? Absolutely. But I have a desperate need for validation, so I think this is a reasonable trade-off.
Idiots. The hookup is at the campground.
Mm-hmm.
How much longer do you think it'll be until they decide to dump the septic tank?
That is also a good question.
I think a better question is how much longer you're going to use your nihilism as a security blanket.
Being an asshole I see again. Oh, fuck, let me try that again. Being an asshole again, I see, Yosemite.
Until they're all dead.
I have 7 billion pieces of bad news for you, and you're one of them.
Coffee boils over the spout and dribbles down the percolator. I twist off the stove and bring my boiling pot of sunshine over to the table.
Keep patronizing. If a tiny forest fire makes you come down with a fever, I can't wait to find out how bad you smell when Mr. and Mrs. Crisis Counseling decide trash cans are too complicated.
I reach for the dirty mug balancing on top of the other 5. Like I've done thousands of mornings before, I pour the still simmering coffee.
Just what do you think you're doing?
I tip the percolator back, 3 drips already speckling the cup.
Pouring coffee.
Into a dirty cup?
I glance back at the mug. A faint yellow ring. A faint ring of yellow tea residue circles around the middle.
Looks fine to me.
Yosemite's ears flatten.
But I just drank out of it.
Is she embarrassed? Really, this is all it takes to embarrass you? Someone drinking out of the same cup as you. Okay.
I'm not skipping my morning coffee because of your slobber.
Oh, they went all out with this one. They even made the sound of pouring coffee. Nice. I pour the rest until it nearly slops over the edge of the cup. Keeping my eyes locked with Yosemite, I take the first sip.
I can't believe you! You are so gross!
I almost choked on my fucking water. Oh my god. That's beautiful.
Aren't you the one who uses the same tea bag over and over because you don't want to be wasteful?
That's beautiful.
Yeah, but that's different.
Sure, but how different? Yosemite caresses her forehead. A pink glow gradients her cheeks.
What if I get your germs, huh? We can't just go swapping saliva like that, you know.
People do it all the time. Why are you worried about it now?
I think you have your information mixed up.
This is accurate. You do kind of have your information mixed up. Yosemite gives a tired sigh. A hint of embarrassment has been replaced by exhausted certainty.
What are you talking about? Of course I don't. Everyone knows germs are exchanged between both parties whenever body fluids come into contact.
No. Incorrect. Very, very incorrect.
I think the only germ any of us need to worry about catching is your ego.
Well, it's too late for her. She already has it. I wonder if she's just feels obligated to know more than everyone else, even when she's wrong. Like, being smart is her cross to bear. If she's a smart aleck and a know-it-all, even if she's a smart aleck and a know-it-all, I've come to not like, but appreciate Yosemite. Yeah, that works. I appreciate Yosemite.
So, how long do you plan on letting the breeding pair struggle out there before helping?
Oh, okay, I see what you mean now. As long as possible. I don't fucking care about these people.
Until they go away, or my shift starts. Whichever comes first.
When does your shift start? We glance at the window. The yelling continues, blending with the chirps of morning birds.
Isn't teaching these people how to not mess these things up your, I don't know, job?
Kinda. I rip open 2 packs of sweetener and find the buried... I rip open 2 packs of sweetener I find buried beneath Yosemite's research. She gives me a dirty look for digging around with her in her crap, but I just ignore her and pour them in my coffee.
I signed up to protect and preserve. It's not my job to teach these people, especially when they care so little about the parks they couldn't even be bothered to do a little research.
By the way, it was between this, Minecraft, and Phantasy Star Online today. I didn't do Phantasy Star because I just don't know enough. I'm gonna do my research by opening up the game and starting a new character today. And Minecraft, I don't know. I feel like if I did Minecraft today, I want to do Minecraft when it's like I have a lot of time to sit down and like go through for like a couple of days doing Minecraft. I don't want Minecraft, like, I like keeping Minecraft a special thing that we do for a couple of days in a row. I don't like sitting down and doing Minecraft for one day to like leave it alone for another 2 months. So this game won out. It was a hard between this and Minecraft though, I'll be honest.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not. But weren't you the one who sent those kids to a fire safety course after that incident a few weeks back?
That's one thing.
But I'm not the one teaching that course, am I?
She's got one up on you, Yosemite.
So you're just going to let them keep making mistakes?
Don't make it sound so innocent. It's ignorance, plain and simple. You can't teach people to appreciate the things they have. They either already do or they learn it on their own. If they can't, that person is just defective.
This is semi-accurate. I feel like things can be taught, but being able to appreciate something, that's very hard to teach. It took me a long time to learn how to appreciate art, and like going through a lot of classes to learn how to appreciate art properly. Cause I'll be honest, I didn't give a fuck about paintings and shit. But now I do, kinda. Like, there's still shit in art that astounds me that I just don't understand and won't. But I've got a better understanding of it now. But if someone just doesn't give a fuck, they will be immune to all forms of to all attempts to teach them. That's why there are so many people who are, no matter how much schooling they go through, they fail every math class that they're in. It's because they just don't give a fuck. You can't teach people. You can fix stupid. You can teach someone who doesn't get it if you try really hard. You can't fix apathy. If someone doesn't give a fuck about what you're trying to teach them, you can't fix that. And take a wild guess at which one most people are.
How come you're defending them anyway?
A deep lesson
What
here.
happened to your lectures about the dangers of humanity?
There is a deep lesson here. You have to care about what you want to learn. If you don't care, you're not gonna learn it. Yeah, see, you get it, Hoodie. The big problem that I feel with modern American public schooling is you're sitting a bunch of kids in a room and teaching them about things that they just don't care about. If you can find a way to make them care about it, like if you can find a way to make people care about history, what's the most fun thing about history? It's like learning about like knights and people with swords and pirates and shit. That stuff is fun to learn about. You care about that. Like the Wild West and shit. But nobody gives a fuck about, say, like why the coffee maker was invented. Nobody cares about that. Realistically, although it is very interesting why Mount Rushmore was made, nobody actually cares when you're in high school. So you just don't retain it. Now, I will give big props to people who become citizens. People who are trying to become citizens know more about the country than most people do. And that is mainly because they care about the country and becoming part of the country. They wouldn't be trying to gain citizenship otherwise. That is 100% true. Yeah. Big props to those people who take and pass that test. Because they show more of a willingness to want to be a part of America than most people who were born here.
What about those people who want to become Soviet Russia?
I wriggle my fingers. I don't know jack shit. I know stuff. I don't know a whole lot of stuff. But as history is one of my great passions, I know more than the average man. But then again, things that I just don't care about, I don't know.
When was D-Day?
I don't remember when D-Day was, Marcus. Please don't ask me. You're gonna make me look like a fucking idiot right now. What am I studying right now? I just finished studying a bunch about pirates. I have, like, a ton of books on pirates.
Half the wall is taken up by them.
Yeah, half of, like, a wall is taken up by books on pirates, piracy, and different historic pirates that made huge impacts on... Because, believe it or not, piracy made a huge impact on the modern world. As we know it now. Yeah. I wriggle my fingers like a ghostly specter. Then I throw back a couple gulps of coffee.
They were never lectures on the dangers of humanity. They were lectures on complacency, real ignorance, particularly in relation to people in power, like rangers.
Well, I mean, the reason that I like reading history books and learning about history is because I do care. I want to know more about what I'm very interested in what happened before we got here, and so I want to learn about it. And so that's why I sit down and read or I watch documentaries about shit. It's because it's intriguing to me.
You say you're sick of cleaning up people's messes. Then teach them how to avoid making them to begin with. Or do you not want to protect and preserve?
It is not that easy. You are making it sound way simpler than it is to just teach people how to properly care for national parks. It's not hard to tell people how to avoid messes, but actually getting them to listen and to avoid those messes is so much harder. A smirk creeps from the corner of her mouth, smug and irritating, but her eyes are narrow, stern and genuine. God, I hate it when she has a point.
No one should be allowed to be as smarmy as you know that?
Yet here I am.
Oh, that response is so evil.
Yeah, but can you disappear?
You're just upset because I'm onto something.
You're onto something, but what you're onto is very hard to accomplish, and you have no idea how hard it is.
What you're on is a tangent.
Oh my god. I swipe away the book resting beneath her arms, mostly because I know that if I don't have a verbal... If I don't, the verbal thrashings are going to wear down any argument I have. And my ego just can't handle that today.
And what is it even that you're educating yourself with?
I read the title of the sleek paperback cover. Dog ears bend from the corner, and sides from multiple readings through. Oh, dog ears bending. Multiple read-throughs. It feels like the pages might fall out if I give it a good enough shake.
The Human Mind, God and Architect by Dr. Angela Merrick.
I've not read that.
Sounds like some new age trash to me.
Oh my god. It might be, might not be. I don't know what it is.
Give that back! It's valuable research!
You seem to have read this book enough times that you should have it memorized by now. She wrenches it from my hand before I even get the chance to comply, then cradles it close to her chest. I raise a very doubtful eyebrow.
Dr. Merrick was a road paver who time just hasn't caught up with yet.
If... Again, I wouldn't know. If my eyebrows had muscles, they would be giving an intense workout. Getting an intense workout.
She argued that the human consciousness, or rather, the collective consciousness of mankind, was powerful enough to create...
Oh, fuck. This collective consciousness bullshit. Oh, okay. It's the part of philosophy that I hate. Good, okay. The belief that all mankind has, like, this shared consciousness that is completely unfounded and completely unprovable. This, okay. Whatever. She says this like it's common knowledge. And I mean, maybe it is to crazy people.
Thank you.
So true.
Create what?
Anything! Things, places, maybe even entire worlds. All without ever even knowing it. All that energy needs to go somewhere, right?
Yeah, it's towards functioning. Functioning.
Uh-huh. And what evidence is all this based off?
Nada. Zip. Zilch.
Her own eyewitness accounts and analysis. Even though she was blind.
Again. Nada. Zilch.
Oh, honey.
What?
Oh, you've got no idea how many times I've heard honey, sweetie, mijo. That's just, you said something really fucking stupid, and get ready for your parent to let you down gently.
Miho?
What?
You got suckered.
What happened?
Not even sugarcoating it. Holy shit.
I did not.
Oh my god.
So hard.
Oh my god.
Shut up.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Sure. You've already said more than enough. It all sounds like,
Yeah. That's all you need to say.
Hogwash?
see, she's got it.
Oh, that's just mean.
Yellowstone, be quiet. I'm trying to open Eve's puny mind.
I don't even think Yellowstone believes you. I breathe in, ready to take another stab at her. A sharp one when Yellowstone gets the first word in before me.
Well, actually, I was wondering if I could start rinsing off dishes.
That is a very good question. She twiddles her fingers together, shifting her eyes to the ground, away from Yosemite's hawkish stare. I think she might actually be scared of her.
About time. All right, take them two at a time. I don't want to see any of them break. Like someone's scope of thought.
But two at a time? Why only two? Just take all of them but one.
Why are you so interested in what a quack has to say anyway?
She said it. Oh my god. 2 by 2, Yellowstone takes the mugs by the handles, resting them in a bed of bubbly water flooding the sink. Oh my god, if you can't like properly take 4 dishes, I don't know. Like you should be able to take 4 mugs. They have handles. It's not hard. I've taken at least 6 mugs to a sink at one time. It is not that hard to take a bunch of mugs and not drop any.
Because that quack gave me a theory.
Okay. Your theory's probably wrong if you're getting it from a quack, but I like how the two of them look mostly normal. And there's one, and then one has a goddamn fucking mountain on her head. That is true. You have... Yeah. Well, okay. So, I want to point out to you, Hoodie. You see these, dots on Yosemite's face? The blue dots? Those are rocks. Those are fucking pebbles on her face. And if you see the white, or the blue parts of her, hair, that's water. Like, she can squeeze her hair, and water comes out.
Alright, then what's the brown part?
What brown part? This?
Yes, is that wood?
It's hair. The fuck did you think it was? It's hair.
Alright, so where's the fire coming from?
Where? The forest outside.
The fire?
That's where the fire came from the first time. Please don't pat my back. Go sit down.
Yes, child.
What kind of theory? Like, involving your research?
I lean in closer, my voice dropping to a hushed whisper. Even though there's no secret to be kept, even though I really couldn't care much less than I do already. And that's not much at all. I'm gonna guess her theory is that the collective consciousness of mankind created the three of them. That's my guess. I think it's dumb, but that's my guess. It's just a small amount, really.
About where you three might have come from?
I think the only issue for that is that they make it look more natural for her, whereas Mountain Girl looks photoshopped. It kind of does. Well, you see it blends a little bit at the top. Also, that mountain, that's a geyser. That's, okay, so she's Yellowstone. She's supposed to be Yellowstone National Park. And so that's a geyser. And it shoots out water.
Something to that effect. Let's consider, just for a moment, that if enough people feel strongly about something,
nice. Yeah.
then they really do create some kind of, I don't know, physical embodiment of it?
Doubtful, but I'll suspend my disbelief.
So wouldn't it stand to some kind of reason that since strong feelings, and as a result, cultural perceptions, shift with time, the physical results of it would change too?
Possibly.
What are you getting at?
Fuck. Dropped something. Her face flushed again. I wonder if it's her first time saying all this aloud. Did she hear something? Did she hear how ridiculous it all sounds?
What if those physical results are us?
That sounds a little ridiculous, but at the same time, one of you sprays water out the top of her head, or hot water out the top of her head, and the other one can squeeze out her hair to make water, and the third can pull branches out of her hair. So, I guess it's not the most crazy thing that I've ever heard. It's up there. My spine tingles. The realization that these girls are something different re-emerging for the first time in days. I'm practically with them all in time now. I'm practically with them all the time now. So I've gotten used to it. But the idea that they're not flesh and blood like me, but flesh, blood, stone, feathers, and volcanic rock too. It makes this truce we have seem utterly ridiculous. I'm not playing house with three fairies, sprites, ghosts. Or I'm playing house, I'm not. Apologies, ma'am. I wasn't aware it was against protocol to give house to fairy tale creatures in our posts. But they don't damn near look like real girls, though. But don't they?
So, what? You think Zion here is gonna go through park puberty in a couple of years? Maybe sprout up by 2 feet?
It's a good question. Oh yeah, meet Zion! She's an angel with a laurel wreath on top of her. Well, I guess that's not a laurel wreath, it's just a wreath. And she can pull sticks out of it, because why not? Zion blinks, glancing back and forth, then points to herself, as if to confirm, yes, we really are talking about the same Zion. Yes! Is there another Zion? Yosemite scoots back into her chair, eyes wide and distant. Like I just plucked at a nerve. Her ears flatten. I can tell the conversation has hit its wall.
Puberty would be more forgiving.
Yellowstone comes back around for the last mug.
Done with your coffee? It's cool if you aren't, but if you are, then can I nab it? I mean, as long as I'm not rushing you to choke it down, but if it's cool beans, then...
You speak so much slang, it's ridiculous, Yellowstone.
Go ahead. It's cold now, but you can drink whatever's left in the cup.
Kinda. By the way, this is completely off topic. But what units do I want to pull from the Fate Multi when you first get started? Hercules. You want to get Hercules. Because Hercules... Okay, so there's a mechanic called Guts in the game. Guts allows you to lose all your HP and then start up again. Like, your character starts back at a certain amount of HP, depending on what the Guts is. Hercules, when you get him to Bond 10, which takes about a month or two, maybe 3 of gameplay, you'll get him to Bond 10. He has a... So you die and revive, basically. Yes. Hercules has a Bond craft essence that he gets at Bond 10 that gives him 3 guts. Just right off the bat. Guts doesn't stack, though, so don't activate his personal guts, which he also has. So he naturally has 4 guts. Don't activate that until you've procced all 3 guts. And then he also has an evade. So he can evade attacks, unless they have a Pierce Invul or a Pierce Evade. And he has an attack buff. The last thing that's really good about him is he's a Berserker. And Berserkers, they get a special bonus. They have a special kind of way about them. So, class advantage is like a real thing in this game. And Berserkers get class advantage to everything, but take class advantage from everything as well. The nice thing about Hercules is he is incredibly stally for a Berserker. And he has a pretty decently high attack. So he can deal a lot of damage while also tanking it. Yellowstone bounces nervously. The kind of shaking I get when I go a day without coffee. Okay, I got it, thanks. No problem. It's like her personality has been flipped on its head. She still has boundless energy, but it's all neurotic and buzzed up. I hand the cup off to Yellowstone. She brings the mug up to her lips, tilting it back.
Stop drinking out of the same cup!
Why are you so mad about this? Yosemite dives across the table. She slams down in front of me, hand stopping just short of the mug. Yellowstone jumps, stirred by the cracks of Yosemite flopping on the table. The mug falls and shatters. Pup's ears raise to attention. There's a quick sliver of silence as we stare at the broken pieces of ceramic.
Go get the dustpan, Yellowstone.
This is kinda your fault, Yosemite. Static crackles over the radio. I'm gonna be quiet for a while, but I'll still be in stream because I gotta start trying to edit the D&D session. All right. I hope to see the video when it's up. Static crackles over the radio. The familiar chirp of Jesse's voice is bright enough for me to want to draw the curtains on it. That's not voice. Up and at 'em, Rangers. The forest doesn't sleep, and neither do we. She drones on, but all of our attention is turned to Yellowstone. Her eyes drawn down. Puffs of smoke blot out the air above her. Rising from her head like a stack of exhaust. Her fists clenched together. I hear them crack. Her arms tense until they shake.
I'll get it later.
A stiff whisper. Enough for me to be unsure if I even heard it right. Yellowstone zaps out of sight. A gust of wind twirls around us, tossing loose papers from the table. Then there's just empty space.
Wakey, wakey! Eggs and potential disciplinary action, Eve!
Oh dear. Zion looks up to Yosemite, concern swimming in her eyes.
What's wrong with Yellowstone? She's not acting like herself.
I can guess, but I don't want to be presumptuous.
She's fine. Don't be pulled in by the theatrics. She's just being a brat.
No, you're being incredibly rude. Like, holy shit. Yosemite goes back to reading, occasionally grumbling. Zion looks to me, but the best I can offer is a shrug.
Don't ask me what's normal around here.
Again, I've got an idea, but I don't want to be presumptuous. I stand up and stride over to the radio. Picking up in the middle of... Hello, Mafiko. I haven't seen you in a while, although it has been a while since I did a visual novel, hasn't it? I stand up and stride over to the radio, picking up in the middle of one of Jesse's threats, masked by good cheer. Yeah, I see.
This pretty light up pen on my desk is ready to write you up if you don't answer by the count of 5.
Oh my god. I know how that feels.
1 Mississippi.
This is Ranger Adams, and you can't fire me. I already have a letter of resignation. Over.
My shredder is more than ready for it.
Not even gonna pretend that I'm gonna let you quit. That paper's getting shredded.
What do you want, Jesse? I'm trying to enjoy the peace before throwing myself at the mercy of the general public.
I just thought you might want to hear from your favorite supervisor.
So I will mention, I haven't finished Jack's route in Jack in a Castle. I do acknowledge that. I'm gonna do it, I swear. I just don't know when. Like, there's so much to do in both versions of FGO. I'm gonna do it, I swear. I just don't have time. Cause there's so much I need to do elsewhere that I keep on forgetting that Jack in a Castle exists. I've not seen that one. Oh, okay, I know what that is now. I just thought you might want to hear from your favorite supervisor. That was read already.
Funny, you had the same thought yesterday, and the day before that.
I think you should set this up, a category, games and demos. Alright, we'll set it up in games and demos, gotcha. I've just been leaving these things unlisted because they're visual novels. And I figured it was best to set them up there. To set them up as unlisted. Games and demos, gotcha. Alright, so the stream has been switched to the category Games and Demos. I know. Because, like, YouTube has, like, every visual novel under the sun in its categories. But Twitch normally doesn't.
Just making sure you aren't boarded up in that cabin, hiding your pretty face from the rest of the world.
She hides the next bit under a cough.
And to let you know you're on trash duty today.
Oof! That sucks! I hate trash duty. I'm glad I never had to deal with it in my time as a security guard.
What? Trash duty?
Trash duty, yeah. Picking up. I feel so bad for those poor fuckers who have to work. I'm so glad I'm a security officer and they're event staff. Because as a security officer, I don't want to pick up trash. And as an event staff, you can't fucking complain.
Like hell!
Remember, as security, they need us places where they can put event staff.
Yeah.
I'm on patrol this week, not sweeping up cigarette butts.
Pick up trash.
I think the best part about it was you dealt with being an event staff, you became a security officer, and realized how easy I actually had it, and you never wanted to go back to being an event staff. You were like, this is so much easier than what I had to do. And I get paid more for doing it.
Yes, and the thing is, if someone's big on rolling
Probably I have this title in my game library. Ah, nice. This is a good title.
I could download on my game computer. I could put mine on and go on.
This is a good one.
I could put
There's a lot of pessimism, but I understand why all the pessimism's there.
the world's gone,
It makes sense. You know what I mean?
the world's gone to shit.
No. I mean, they're working in the National Park Service. The National Park Service is incredibly underfunded, and it is often ignored by the public. So it's rough being having to work for the National Park Service.
Because you're constantly underfunded.
Yeah.
Don't be such a diva. You're just taking the trash out of bins that are already filled up. Hardly community service.
What happened to the usual guy? Simmons or something?
He broke his foot.
Dead mother-in-law, he says.
Oh!
One this year by my count.
How do you have 5 mother-in-laws?
Tragic.
He's lying, I know. Don't fucking...
No. He married...
5th one this year. We both sigh. Hers sounds like wind coming through the speakers.
Every trash can in the meadows, I'm guessing. There has to be an easier way to do this. Don't the Grand Teton guys have a sensor in all their cans? Something that pops up on their tablets when everything's full.
So one of these days I'm gonna do Firewatch too. Cause I like games with wilderness. And that are based on like national parks and shit. Cause national parks are cool. If you've ever been to one, they're a very like nice area. I've been to a couple. And this is a Firewatch just seems like it would be a fun one to do.
I hear it rains mana in Grand Teton too. But that doesn't stop our year-round fire season down here, and that eats up most of the budget.
Yeah, I remember.
Sorry, sweetie, but you'll have to do this the old-fashioned way. Elbow grease and all.
Yeah.
It's not elbow grease I'm gonna be covered in once I'm finished.
But you will be filled with pride in a job well done. Just remember to lather and rinse with cold water.
I release the comm button, making sure my groan doesn't travel through the radio waves, and give her another reason to scold me. But her voice drops to pitiable sympathy, almost as if she could hear me anyway.
Do this for me and I'll bring some new snacks the next time we catch up. I have teriyaki jerky! Your favorite!
Ah, bribery. Her voice glides along a melody. Like bribery. Ah, even the game's calling it bribery. Like bribery is a surefire way to my heart. And I mean, yeah, it is. But she could be less obvious about it.
Make it 2 bags and it's a 10-4.
You've got yourself a deal, Ranger. Have fun! Over and out.
Yep.
I set my mic aside, not bothering to pick it up, to put it back on its hook. With a sigh, I grab my travel mug and pour the rest of the coffee from the percolator.
Well, girls, duty calls.
Cleanup duty, from what I heard.
If you find a way to spin this to prove another point, I'm quitting.
Oh no, I'll leave it as is. Just finding some worldly irony in it is all.
I know just the place where you can shove your worldly irony.
I snatch my hat off the rack and open the door to bring to the bright morning, letting some of the chill in. Zion calls out as I step into the step onto the
But what
porch.
about Yellowstone? We can't just ignore her.
There's not much we can do. She looks at me, then Yosemite, anxious for words of comfort.
Good point. Eve, if you see Yellowstone, make sure to remind her to do laundry.
You are still an asshole. Good to know.
Who? The main character?
No, Yosemite. I grunt as I struggle to lift what must be the 100th bag of garbage from its bear-proof receptacle. My arms lost all feeling roughly 50 bags ago. 50, my god. Heaving the bag up and on or into the bed of the pickup I've been given. I spot a split near the seam.
Oh,
Fuck.
no.
I shove the bag upwards just as it starts to tear, managing to avoid most of the trash juices that spill out. Some of it splashes onto my gloves, staining them a repugnant puce color. God knows what it is. Cigarette butts, energy drinks, whatever other chemicals people feel the need to imbibe themselves with. At least with coffee, I know exactly... You know exactly how you're poisoning yourself.
Caffeine.
No, it was coffee. But yeah, once the bag crosses that threshold into the bed of the truck, though, it reaches the fabled not my problem zone. I'm sure Simmons will eventually be tasked with throwing it out. Whatever. They pay that man. Whatever they pay that man, it isn't enough. Whatever they pay me isn't enough. I fluffed up one of the empty industrial-sized bags and replaced the one I just removed before fitting the lid back on top. Another 1,000,000 trash cans to go. Rough. I climb back onto the back into the cab and head off down the road. The truck is older than I am, with a busted radio, and a tape. Give me 10 seconds to collect myself. Okay. And a tape deck that might work. I wouldn't know, because I can't think of anyone who still uses cassettes. I did when I was little. Didn't we all decide to switch to CDs a couple of years ago? And didn't CDs go out of fashion for Blu-rays a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
The occasional car passes by, more of them going into the opposite direction of me. Good, that's one less person to deal with. I empty the next trash can, and then keep going. This one goes better, and I manage to not spill anything on myself. At this rate, I'll probably be done by lunchtime. I haven't even been driving for 2 minutes before I spot a glimmer of green plastic nudged against a bush. I sigh. Sighing, I pull over.
Couldn't wait until the trash can, huh? Just had to ditch it right now.
Honestly, it's not empty. It's not empty. It's not emptying the trash that bugs me. It's the inherent laziness that people seem to have built into them. Sure, they might initially feel a tinge of guilt, but they'll never think about it, about that piece of trash again. They'll never think about how many years it will take for the plastic, the plastic to decompose, or the bird that will choke on it. No, people will continue to live their lives, content to watch their nature documentaries while occasionally crying when a polar bear drowns. That's their good deed. What is it? Is this a dating sim? No, it's a visual novel, but it looks damn close for a minute. That's their good deed for the year. After all, there's nothing they can do about it. They're just one person, right? Yeah, it's laziness, alright. And laziness is harmless until you realize it's just another form of selfishness. Without bothering to put on gloves, I slammed the offending bottle into the back with the rest of its brethren before resuming my journey. I can only pray that it eventually gets recycled. I'd like to see Yosemite's justification for something like this. It's not my job to teach people why they shouldn't litter, because I'm not a 3rd grade science teacher. It's apathy, plain and simple. You can't educate apathy away. See, this was my point earlier. Every now and then, there's the occasional camper who means well and just needs a push in the right direction. But for every one of those camper, there's 10 more waiting in line for that nature documentary. Fuck. My bad. Ironically enough, Yosemite misses the forest for the trees. Does she know just how many people lose their footing and fall off cliffs in these parks? If they can't even take care of themselves, then how could anyone expect them to take care of the land? That's a very good point. Just ahead, I see an aluminum can lying lonesome in some underbrush. I pull over and dig it out. Shocker, it's an empty can of beer. Completely shocking. I would not expect idiots to throw beer cans into the wilds because it's only the next 5 steps away from a trash can. The coloring is faded by the sun, meaning it's been out here for a while. I toss it in the back.
Not even a good brand.
Oh, that's the biggest sin there. They just faded out the fucking... They just faded out the fucking camps, tents for snow. I dropped the cap of my water onto the floor, and now I can't find it. By noon, I'm just about done. There are still a handful of trash cans left to deal with, and then I'm free. My arms are sore from all the hauling and lifting I've done, and I'm probably going to smell like garbage for a week. If nothing else, at least it's quiet. I lean back and stretch, soaking in the sun as it warms my face. Something rustles in the bushes behind me before I can turn around. My vision goes black as someone covers my face with their hands.
Guess who?
Hello, Yellowstone. At least there isn't any time to be concerned.
Yellowstone.
Oh, shucks. Was it that obvious?
Yeah.
You're lucky you have a distinctive voice, or else you'd be unconscious right now.
Yeah, that's true as well. Eve doesn't pull any punches. She gives them. A heavy breeze rustles around us. Even though the jig is up, she doesn't take her hands away.
You're such a grump, Eve. Don't you ever lighten up a little?
Have you met Eve yet?
Firstly, no. Secondly, I'm pretty sure someone coming up out of nowhere and latching onto my face is a good reason to be annoyed.
Points for accuracy. That is very true.
But we're friends.
This is also true. Well, I'm not sure if in Eve's opinion, I don't know. To emphasize, she squeezes me a little tighter. At the same time, the breeze intensifies, like she's holding me in a wind tunnel. An electrical hum breezes around us. The truck, maybe? Or a nearby power line. She's not ripping us out of fucking Yosemite National Park. to drag us over to Yellowstone, is she?
Don't push it. Are you going to let go or not?
Oh, right. Ta-da!
She finally lifts her hands and I turn around to face her.
Seriously, though, don't do that again. I meant it when I said that if I hadn't heard it was you, I would have knocked you out. Wouldn't be the first time. And beside that,
I stop short, staring past Yellowstone's unrepentant looking face, only to realize something. I have no idea where we are. I fucking knew it. The truck is gone. The trees, the familiar trees and bushes have been replaced by different trees and bushes.
beside that, where the hell are we?
She stole Eve.
We're home.
We're where? She stretches her arms as wide as she can, presenting the grand view of wherever she dragged me to. I glare at her, waiting for her to just come out and say it.
Well, I guess it's only home for me.
We're in Yellowstone National Park. She clears her throat and steps back. Again, she sprawls her arms out like a soaring eagle and presents me with the view, like she's waiting for me to clap.
Welcome back to Yellowstone National Park, the prettiest place on the planet.
Okay. Instead of clapping, I cross my arms and gaze around. This must be where she took me to the night we first met. Now that I'm not being dangled over a ledge and certain death. To certain death. I get a bit more time to appreciate the view. We're standing near the base of a tall mountain that I recognize from years worth of pictures and postcards. Mount Washburn. Or Washburn? Washburn, my bad. Vast forests cover huge swaths of land. Lodgepole pines are by far the most common tree. Not only do they grow from the earth, but a defiant few sprout up from the rocks themselves. Velvety green blankets the lesser hills and slopes nearby.
You're right about it being pretty, at least.
Yeah, it is pretty.
Ain't it? The whole park is swell, but this trail is the bee's knees.
Who the fuck still uses the bee's knees nowadays? Are you stuck in the 60s? You look like you're stuck in the 60s, but... That's true. She puts her hands on her hips and surveys the land like a proud mom. Maybe that isn't accurate. If Yosemite's little fire fever is anything to go by, I guess Yellowstone has a similar condition to her park too.
When I was out earlier, I kept thinking about how I wanted to swing by and visit for a bit. And not too long, of course, because I know Yosemite won't ever pipe down if I don't finish her laundry, but...
Yellowstone trails off, a frown breaking her cheerful facade. Two hummingbirds buzz around us and brush their long beaks against each other, as if kissing, before flying off into the trees. A small smile wriggles its way onto her face.
But I figured a little break can't hurt. Usually I go hiking with Zion, but since we're bunk buddies now, I figured, what the hey, and decided to bring you along instead.
I thought she expressly said that she didn't want to be bunk buddies with you.
Lucky me. So, where have you been all day then?
Oh, you know, a little here, a little there. I needed some fresh air after everything this morning.
Yeah, Yosemite was kind of an asshole.
Yeah, I think I still have shards of coffee mugs stuck in my boots.
Sorry about that. I'm just so...
Listen, don't worry about it. It was Yosemite's fault, not yours. 100%.
I'm at my wit's end, Eve. I've always been the one to do the cooking and the cleaning and the laundrying and everything. I alphabetize Yosemite's books and make sure they end up back on the shelf. Even before you moved in, I was the one keeping the cabin spick and span, making sure Yosemite had a comfy reading space, taking care of Zion's hair. I also...
Holy shit, you sound like you're at your wit's end, girl. These people are not helping you.
I get it. You do everything around the place.
I do, absolutely, positively, but all I ever hear is laundry this and tea time that.
Yes, this is going up on YouTube. Yellowstone puffs out her cheeks and looks stern in what I think is supposed to be her best Yosemite impression.
Yellowstone, why haven't you done the 10 things I already asked you to do? I've got 5 more that need to be done right now.
I roll my eyes to try and keep myself from chuckling. Couldn't have done it better myself, kid.
So fight back. Tell Yosemite to shove it or something. Tell her you don't want to do all her chores anymore. That'd be more productive than just throwing a tantrum about it.
That is also true.
It's not that I don't want to do it. I like being useful and all. It's just that a little bit more gratitude would be nice, you know?
I think you're barking up the wrong tree with Yosemite. I don't think... Like, the little we've seen, Yosemite has very few moments of gratitude. Like, there was one moment in the first episode where she was grateful towards Eve, and it was right back towards snarky comments and shit. Yeah, I think you're barking up the wrong tree if you're looking for gratitude.
I'm working my tush off for her, but it's crystal clear that she doesn't care about that. In fact,
Eve has shown more gratefulness towards you. Cause you fucking cried when she thanked you for help the first time. She glances over her shoulder, then leans in and cups her hands over her mouth, as if Yosemite might plummet down from the heavens to catch her and catch her in the act.
I'm starting to think that maybe she even has it out for me.
Oh, come on. That's going a little too far. I don't think she has it out for you. I just think that she's not a very, not very good at showing emotions, if I'm not anything other than snark. She has a passive emotion, and then that's it. It's hard for her to show the rest. She'd have to be really pushed for it.
That girl has it out for everybody.
This is also true.
But this is different. She was downright mean this morning. It's been like that more and more lately.
Well, if you aren't going to stand up for yourself, then you're pretty much just asking for it.
Why can't you cut me some slack? I was kind of hoping for some compassion here.
You came barking up the wrong tree. I don't know. Eve's not really known for compassion.
Sorry to burst your bubble, but if you're not going to make a change, then all you're doing is blowing off the job people rely on you to do.
That's the thing, though. I'm starting
I detect the faintest hints of a voice crack.
to wonder if it's even worth it.
Oh dear.
Yosemite is a real pretty place, and I love living with the other gals. I'll always have Yellowstone the park, but taking care of the cabin makes Yellowstone the me really happy. A place to belong, you know?
And if you feel like you don't belong there, what's the point? I get it.
But if no one at that place appreciates you, then it makes you wonder if you really do belong there.
See, exactly. See? If you just go around treating people apathetically all the time, and it's hard to expect them to not get a little bitter and feel a little disassociated, I guess is the word. Distant, there we go. Smoke or steam, I'm not sure which, rises from the crater in her head. She sighs and gazes past me at the empty wilderness. But even emptier than that is the look in her eyes. I wonder how many mornings I've dragged myself to the mirror, only to see the same exhausted stare reflecting back at me.
Look, kid, I get you. I really do. About wondering if it's worth it and all. But I have to know, why me? You said you usually bring Zion along, right? Why not just ask her instead?
I don't think Zion would understand. Yellowstone gives me a sad smile, but nonetheless, she tries to force the cheer out of herself, straining her voice until she sounds only slightly miserable. I think there's more to it than just Zion wouldn't understand. I do think Zion wouldn't understand. I think there's a little more to it than that.
I already told you that, silly. I thought you could use a break too. It'll be great. We can tell stories, swap gossip, talk about boys. You know, girl stuff.
I'm not into a single one of those things.
Well, feel free to start walking back to Yosemite if you want. It's a bit under 1,000 miles by foot, so you better get a move on.
Oof, that's a distance. This little brat, I swear I'm going. Before I can bring myself to wring her neck, I got an idea, so instead, I turned around and simply started walking.
Cool. I'll take my chances.
I don't think she is gonna expect that reaction.
Wait! Hold on a sec!
I freeze and try to hide my grin. No wonder Yosemite has such an ego. Being the smartest person in the room must be addicting.
The truth is, I brought you along because I felt like I could trust you. There, I said it.
I feel like you probably can trust her. Genuine shock wipes the smirk right off my face. Maybe I'm not as smart as I thought.
Huh? But why?
It's silly, but...
Her eyes shift to the ground as she bashfully kicks the dirt around her.
When you complimented my flapjacks the other day, it made me really happy. Like, golly, someone finally appreciates something I'm doing.
Yeah, see, I figured. Genuine happiness is hard.
And then when you took charge and put out that fire, it just... I don't know, it made me like you even more. It's like you really know what you're doing. I'm probably just being stupid, huh?
I'm sorry, yes I do know where they are. I just told Tyler I don't know where they are, and I do. They're at the fucking beach. Neither of us is saying anything. In fact, I'm almost tempted to keep it that way and have her take me back. But there's something about this sad volcano girl that I just can't turn away. How many times over the years have I been at my breaking point? Just one little step from going off the deep end. How many times have I been blown off and told to suck it up when all I wanted was to vent? And where has that gotten me? Finally, I give a long defeated sigh. Yellowstone better thank her lucky stars that her pancakes are good.
Tell you what, kid. You promise, and I mean promise, to take me home in time to finish up with the rest of the trash in the park. And I'll hike around with you for a few hours.
Yellowstone perks up. For the first time, I noticed her volcano cuts through the air. How her volcano cuts through the air when she makes sudden movements.
You mean it? Cross your heart and hope to die?
She flings herself at me, stopping just shy of touching our noses touching. I can feel heat emanating from her head in waves.
Stick 1,000 needles in your eye?
I'm gonna text mom. I'll text mom because dad doesn't respond to shit.
Yes! Now, get out of my face before I plug your volcano with a rock!
She skips forward, backpack bouncing cheerily on her shoulders. Even if she hadn't spent 10 minutes taking my ears off about it, it would be easy to see just how much she's been looking forward to this. There we go. I'm back in chat.
Oh, you won't regret this, Evo! Me and you are gonna have a blast! We're gonna hike and do more hiking, and then after we take it easy for a bit, we can hike even more!
Not so fast, Mountaineer.
I yank on her backpack and reel her back in.
What about that thing on your head? We'll have a lot of explaining to do if someone sees you.
This is accurate.
No sweat!
With a flourish, she slides her backpack off and rifles through it just for a second. Then she stands up with triumphant.
Ta-da!
That's adorable. Oh my god. It's a soft hat. It stretches... she stretches it taut over her volcano, covering it perfectly. It just looks like she has a really big head.
I guess that's an improvement.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's adorable.
Now let's beat feet!
I can only assume she means let's go. So, I motion my hand forward and let her lead. She skips ahead and starts on the trail, humming to herself and twirling to the music in her head.
Just promise you'll take me home early, please. I'm about overdue for an earful from Jessie, and I don't want to risk it now.
You're such a worrywart, dollface. Just hang back and smell the roses for a bit.
Oh my god. As she skips further ahead on the trail, I see a hand inch below her backpack. I see her hand inch below her backpack, almost hidden. Maybe it's my imagination, but for a brief second, it looks like her fingers are crossed.
This'll be a walk in the park.
What do you mean this'll be a walk in the park? The pace Yellowstone sets is excruciatingly slow. Sometimes it feels like we're not even moving at all. Sometimes having to move ahead, hitting a steady stride, just so I can keep myself warm among the dusty snow that decorates our surroundings. It forms mushy mud puddles in parts of the trail, but in others, the path is so well trodden that the snow is gone entirely. Sometimes Yellowstone will dart off the road to inspect a soggy plant or peculiar rock. Along the way, she'll kneel down, humming to herself, gently touching the object of her curiosity like a scientist. During these moments, I force myself to stop and admire the flora and fauna with her. Cold be damned, it's been a hot minute or two since I've been within spitting distance of Yellowstone. May as well enjoy some of it, regardless of circumstances, or of the circumstances.
Say, Eve?
Content, I move along from the ice-crushed brush I was looking at, and continue on the trail. Like my shadow, Yosemite falls in lockstep beside me.
I was wondering, what made you want to become a ranger?
Easy. I like nature, and I like the parks. Wanted a job that would let me be around both. Had my mind set on it since I was a kid.
Well, after that awkward veterinarian phase, let's not talk about that.
Then why are you so grouchy about having to do it?
You sure don't beat around the bush, do you?
That's because of the people. That's pretty obvious.
Well, yeah. Most folks stop listening if I ramble too long. Cut to the chase is what Yosemite always says.
At least that's one good piece of advice that bookworm has.
It's not that I'm grouchy about having to do my job. I just don't like having to deal with people or their messes.
That's fair.
So, you don't like talking to people then?
Bingo.
She gets quiet. We drift apart a little bit. My pace stays the same, but Yellowstone starts lagging behind. Not stopping, not keeping up. I can hear her clomp behind me. Then her footsteps quicken to catch back up.
Are there any rangers that do have to talk more?
Plenty.
I start to pick up the pace a little. Yellowstone lags behind again, but soon enough she's right beside me again.
What do they do?
Nothing but talk. Kind of like you.
My mind immediately shifts to Jessie. I'm pretty sure the first thing that woman does when she wakes up is talk. Probably the last thing she does before sleeping, too. If she's not working, then she's almost certainly chatting.
And what do you do?
Answer your questions?
What? No, I didn't.
I did.
Yellowstone giggles as if I told her a funny joke. Unfortunately for her, I'm not laughing.
I mean, what do you really do, silly? You're always buzzing around like a worker bee, but it seems like you're doing something new every day.
It's not enough to kidnap me, she also has to torture me. I glance back at her, even though I'm brushing her off. Her smile is radiant and genuine, as she waits for me to respond. Maybe torture is a bit too strong of a word. At the very least, she's not a nagging busybody like some other parks I know.
If you have to know, I'm basically law enforcement. If someone screws up, I'm who they call to take care of it.
That's accurate.
So you're like a forest cop.
Kinda.
Not too far off, actually. Got training just like any other cop. Only difference is I did it on the federal level.
I feel a spring in my step as my long dominant pride briefly swells up inside of me.
So how come you gotta take out the trash?
And it's gone again.
Because at the end of the day, I'm a glorified janitor. Also, it's the park service. No one just does one thing.
But the other rangers do different things?
Sure. Some of us are tour guides that show visitors around the park. Other folks go do outreach programs at school. That kind of thing.
Interesting.
You don't do any of that, though.
Nope.
Says who? I've given more than my fair share of lectures to bored middle schoolers, thanks.
The little gremlins usually pile into Yosemite on field trips. It's exactly the first couple of times. I was excited the first couple of times. I thought I might have a chance to really connect with those kids. But after a while, it became more and more obvious that none of them had any interest in the outdoors. Just video games and internet celebrities. Fuck, that's so true. It ended up working out, since I lost interest in them too.
Though at this point, I don't think they want me talking to anybody.
This is probably true as well.
Aw, that's not true. You're doing just swell talking to me.
You must be pretty desperate for conversation if you think so.
You're doing an okay
Believe me,
job.
I am.
She just goes outright says she's desperate for conversation. She says with a cheerful, wholly unironic grin. Still, she quiets down again, and we carry on our trek. When I'm not being distracted with chatter, it's easy to enjoy the experience. Unlike a Yosemite, the park isn't too crowded, with the snow and cold keeping away all but the most determined sightseers. The visitation rates will spike next month once it starts getting warmer, but now there aren't too many people around to ruin it. We do get passed by the occasional backpacker or hiker, usually going the other direction. Without fail, Yellowstone greets them with a chirpy hi or wave. I do my best to avoid eye contact and ignore them. A light breeze carries some old snow with it, enough to make me shiver and wrap my arms around myself. It's only going to get colder the higher we go. Rather than strike up another conversation, instead Yellowstone starts to whistle. She cycles through a number of folk songs, as well as several melodies I don't recognize. Eventually, she settles on "I've been working on the railroad." I remember that. Repeating its distinctive refrain over and over again. Until I'm sure that even the birds will be singing it for days. I'm half tempted to end every message that I send to Tyler with "activate your phone" from now forward. After we've been walking for 30 minutes or so, I notice a familiar sight up ahead. Near the edge of the trail, I veer off in its direction, with Yellowstone watching curiously.
What'd you find?
Nothing much. I kneel down and pick up the item in question, holding it so she can see my prize. It's a paper wrapped with a $1 menu cheeseburger. It's a paper wrapper from a $1 menu cheeseburger. Someone must have been carrying this one around for a while, since we're pretty deep in the park.
Garbage. Left behind by walking garbage.
Accurate.
I'll throw it away at the next trash can.
I'm glad that I kept my gloves on before Yellowstone abducted me. They let me ignore the congealed cheese that hangs loose from the trash.
Gross. You're the bee's knees for cleaning up the place, though.
I'm not watching that at this moment. Her never-ending use of outdated slang is something I've gotten used to tuning out. At least I know what the bee's knees means. Not too much later, I spot an abandoned park map fluttering uselessly in the breeze. When I snatch it out of the air, it's speckled with mud. The date on the attached receipt is from several days ago. I crumple it into a ball and carry it along with the burger wrapper.
More trash?
Of course. It's all over the place if you look for it.
After spotting the first piece, I can't help but look for it. With every step we take, my eyes scan the trail for more litter. Before long, my hands are both full. When we reach a trash can where I can offload everything, I sigh with relief. I'm gonna need to take the longest shower of my life once I'm home. With a whoomph and a cheer, Yellowstone dashes over to the low wood railing that turns this spot into a small observational point.
Take a gander at that, Eve. Ain't it grand?
It is.
I can't help but be impressed by the sprawling forest that dominates the horizon. No matter which direction I turn, the view could be a postcard.
You know, we can go anywhere in the park whenever you want. Just say the word.
Anywhere?
Yep, top of the mountain, bottom of the mountain, the entrance, the exit, even in the middle of nowhere. That's because it's me. It's the same for Zion and Yosemite, too. The girls, I mean.
But only around the park?
That's right.
Interesting. A worrying thought crosses my mind.
And you can take us back home, right? You aren't just trying to pull a fast one on me, are you?
Of course. That's how we got back last time.
True. Last time, are you telling me that I was dangling off a cliff in Yellowstone National Park?
Ah, come on. You didn't die.
That doesn't make me feel any better.
That's true. Yellowstone giggles. I'm glad she finds my near-death experience entertaining. Maybe she can finish the job next time.
I'll let you in on a little secret.
Oh, goody.
You know that painting back in the cabin? The gorgeous one with the view from the top of Mount Washburn?
They're all gorgeous, but sure.
Well, that's like home base. As long as it's in the cabin, I can go right back there. Although, if you moved the painting, I'd have to go there instead.
Oh dear.
Sounds like there's a lot of arbitrary rules.
Very interesting.
Right? It makes my head spin. But it's like Yosemite always says, linear thinking won't...
Get you anywhere, I know. She's given me the lecture.
Sounds like her, all right. She always yaks about the same thing over and over.
She does it because she thinks it'll make her sound smart. Now, let's keep going.
The view is gorgeous, there's no denying that. If I could, I'd stay here for a week, exploring and poking around. But I have to get home. I'd never hear the end of it from Jessie if she found me skirting my duties.
Roger that!
We start back up the trail. The next stretch of the trail is devoid of litter. Unfortunately, it must be close proximity to the... fortunately, it must be close proximity to the bin. A moment of relief... my moment of relief is short-lived, though. There's still plenty of reminders of how careless park visitors are. Like initials scratched into one of the trees by the road. I stop and glare at the offending carving.
Nobody knows or cares who you were, PT.
I'm probably the only person in the world who'll give a second thought to the marking. And I'm sure it's not for the reason they intended. Yellowstone peers around my shoulder to see what I'm looking at.
You sure don't miss a thing.
It's hard
Can't
to.
help it. As much as I'd like to sometimes.
I'm doomed to notice each and every blemish and imperfection. Just like Yosemite with its problems and stories, I'm sure Yellowstone the park has its fair share of stories too. Except just like the initials carved into the tree, nobody cares what they have to say.
Why do you
Yo,
think
Mark.
people are like that?
Can you read the dog? He's in his cage.
I turn around to face Yellowstone. She bounces from one foot to another, unable to sit still even when we're not talking. Don't take my pen.
This is my pen. I let you
This
borrow.
this is your pen. Okay.
You never gave it back.
You really are full of
Okay.
questions today.
Oh, not
You
just
have like
today.
100 pens.
Pretty much
What are you
every
gonna do
day.
missing
Except
one?
usually Yosemite just stops answering.
Sounds
I
like
want
her.
this laser part now too.
Hmm.
Anyway, as to why they're like this, I guess it's because they're selfish. They don't think about what they're doing or what it costs nature. They just
Okay,
want
okay.
something,
Yeah, I see.
so they take it.
Oh, it's thunder.
They're like...
I look off into the distance, struggling to find the right comparison. And then the answer dances its way into my memory.
They're like a wildfire. They just come in and destroy everything. Doesn't matter if they burn the entire place down. All that matters is that they get their kicks. And then they just spread, consuming and destroying.
Like wildfire.
Yellowstone looks mystified by the comparison, her eyes glazing over and then widening.
I don't think that's fair, though, you know? They're people with thoughts and feelers. Wildfire can't do that.
I guess. That's beside the point, though. It was just a comparison. Besides, doesn't it bother you? Seems like this should get on your nerves just as much as mine. After all, you live here. Or are here, or something.
Fair point.
Well, I don't like it, you're right. But it comes with the territory. I'd rather deal with it than have nobody come see me. See the park, I mean.
Even though they don't respect you? Or the park?
Not everything's about respect, Eve. Sometimes you just gotta have fun.
To emphasize, she flashes a peace sign at me. The epitome of fun.
I don't think every person who leaves behind some trash is a bad person.
Neither.
They're just people
Mom
who
wanted
made a
him in the room.
teensy tiny mistake. If you help them out, maybe they won't make that mistake again next time.
Close the door.
Little bit of talking and working together, and who knows? You might end up being great pals and doing great things together. Just imagine if you hadn't compromised with Yosemite back at the cabin. We'd have never gotten to know each other like this.
Yeah, and I'd be safe and sound back at home doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Exactly, and that's no fun.
She says it with a smug tone in her voice. Like she's just proved some great point rather than missing it entirely. I roll my eyes. I don't know if Yellowstone's being willfully ignorant or what. It completely baffles me that she's not bothered by by the way the park is treated. For someone who threw a tantrum and ran away because she felt like she was unappreciated, she's awful eager to forgive the good people and assume they have the best intentions. I just can't let this go. She'll thank me for it later.
You're still being naive. When it comes to nature, people will just keep making compromise after compromise until there's nothing left. Rainforests, ice caps, endangered species, all these things are being wiped out because of compromises. Either you make people understand the truth, or you give up on them. Because most aren't worth the time or effort. They're never going to learn or care. And that's 90% of the people that you see out here.
What about the other 10%, though?
Yeah, she's got a point.
What about them?
If you can help even that 10%, doesn't that make it worth it? Sometimes they just need someone to teach them the right thing to do.
Oh god, not her too.
I'll bet you most of those 10% would be happy to have someone show them the ropes so they can do better next time. As long as there's someone to do it.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm immediately done with the conversation. I just give her a flat answer so we can move on. I don't really need to hear the same lecture twice a day. It's obvious that Yosemite drilled the same nonsense into Yellowstone's head that she tried to pass on to me. Instead, I try to focus on the hike again. Push the distractions out of my head. Keep my attention focused on the top of Mount Washburn, instead of the imperfections that we pass by. It doesn't work well, but I refrain from mentioning it or picking up more. If Yellowstone doesn't care, then I'll just let it be someone else's problem, someone else's story. Between the garbage and the vandalism and now the lecture, pretty much any enjoyment I was getting out of the trip has evaporated. It seems like every day of my life I'm doomed to hear the same meandering criticism about how it's my fault that idiots are idiots. To her credit, Yellowstone stays quiet for now, but I'm sure it's just a temporary reprieve. If I'm proven right when we round another bend in the path. Up ahead, a group of hikers are heading towards us. They've got a huge backpack and gear, They've all got huge backpacks and gear. Looks like they're backcountry hikers. Probably doing some dispersed camping. As they get closer, they wave at us and say hello. I manage to stiff nod and keep walking. Yellowstone, on the other hand...
Hi there, everyone! How y'all doing today?
is totally distracted.
Well, hey there. We're doing just great. Yep, how about you?
Just came down the mountain. Had a drink and a snack. Oh, you two are in for a treat once you get up there.
Wonder if we'll see the evidence of their drink and snack left behind.
Oh, the view is so good, isn't it? I could just live up here.
Yep, same. It was gorgeous.
I keep walking in hopes that Yellowstone will get the hint and catch up, but I'm not that lucky. She might not even notice that I'm leaving her behind. So I drag my feet and haul myself over to her.
So you three are pretty geared up.
Oh fuck, it's
Those
raining.
bags look pretty spiffy. Stay.
We are, yep. Just gotta find a spot.
We're doing the backwoods thing.
Back country.
Whoa, that sounds like so much fun. Maybe my friend and I should give that a try sometime.
Absolutely not.
The five of them laugh. They think I'm joking.
Oh, guess we should introduce ourselves. I'm Russ, yep.
Jakey, that's Clara, and that's Croc.
The other two both wave as they're introduced. No way out of this, I guess.
I'm Eve. And this...
Yellowstone looks at me with eager eyes, probably hoping for a cool alias.
is Yellow. Yeah, her name is Yellow.
Instant disappointment. But with someone called Croc, it's not like she's got the strangest name here.
So, how are you guys liking the park so far?
Great so far. We've been here for 2 days, and we've got another 2 days to go. It's good. Never visited before.
It's the cat's meow! What other stuff have you seen?
Well, we started at Hayden Valley, then came up this way.
We passed by Grand Canyon too. Yep.
Croc didn't realize it's not the Grand Canyon.
Easy mistake. She's real nice too. What kind of gear have you got? Looks like a real heavy load. Aren't your backs just about to give out from lugging all that around?
Oh, so great.
Honestly, yes. I just want to fall over and sleep forever.
Have to find a campsite first. We've got all the essentials with us, though. Tent, blankets, food, stove, flashlights.
Roughing it as much as we can.
Wait, did that guy just say they don't have a campsite yet?
Wow, you can fit all that in there?
Sure can. Bit of a pain to take with us, like you said, but it gets the job done.
I hope you guys can take a break soon.
Ha! Me too!
We're actually looking for a spot right now. Trying to find something close by.
Going back up the mountain in the morning, yep.
Oh, I wonder if I know of anywhere good close by.
She taps a finger on her lips as she pivots around and scans the area.
You know this place pretty well then.
Like the back of my hand.
It'd be good to find somewhere with a bit of cover from the wind, in case the tent crashes again.
Wait, crashes?
The five of them, including Yellowstone, flinch at my words. Like they forgot I was there. Maybe they did. 10 eyes turn to look at me. Crap, why did I have to speak up?
Yeah, during the middle of the night it just sorta caved in.
Yeah.
Right on our heads, yep.
I noticed him eyeing my badge warily. I wonder if he's been doing doing it this whole time. I hope he doesn't connect the dots and figure out that I don't actually work in this park.
Sounds like he must have staked it out wrong.
I told you.
She hits one of the others in the arm. It makes a poof sound against his light jacket.
Yeah, the videos made it look a lot easier.
At least he has the good sense to look embarrassed.
It's kind of been one thing after the other, to be honest. First, we got lost on our way to the mountain, then we got the car stuck in the mud for a while.
She rambles on for a good couple of minutes, listing all of the things that have gone wrong since they left home. Forgotten supplies, mixed up trails, and more. Internally, I'm rolling my eyes the entire time. At a glance, it looked like they were well prepared, but of course it turns out that I gave them too much credit. When she mentioned how they were considering doing the hike without extra water, I reached my breaking point.
Okay, that's enough.
Clara stops mid-ramble. She gives you a Yellowstone a run for her money when it comes to chatting.
The four of you sound like you're not prepared to be out here at all. You're lucky to have made it this long. It can get well below freezing here at night. You don't know how to pitch a tent. You don't know how to pack. Did you do any research at all before you came into the park?
All four of them are stone silent, their eyes wide.
This is the wilderness. There's a lot of empty land out there. Just because it's a park doesn't mean that someone's going to find you right away if you're in trouble. You need to learn some respect for nature, because nature doesn't give a damn about you.
They're all still cowed into silence. Even Yellowstone looks a little embarrassed. I might have been a little bit harsh, but that's better than going too easy on them. One of the hikers finally nods.
We understand.
Sorry.
Maybe we should just cut the trip a bit short.
A look of dejection spreads from one to another like a plague. Jackie starts to sag under the weight of his backpack, like it just got a whole lot heavier.
Hey now, that's quitter talk.
Yellowstone leaps in between the group and me, trying to salvage the situation.
Eve's a bit of a grouch, but she's just trying to say that you should be more careful next time. You don't have to give up and go home. You just gotta do better.
Well, she kind of made it sound like we're going to die a horrible death out here.
Not if we can help it. Right, Eve?
What?
You folks said you're still looking for a spot to hit the hay, right? What if we help out a little and give you a couple pointers?
Would you really? I mean, that'd be great, but it's a lot to ask.
Absolutely.
Hey, Yellow, I don't...
My protests fall on deaf ears. I've already been volunteered.
Can you help us with our campfire, too?
Yellowstone looks at me expectantly. I sigh again. I've been doing that a lot lately since we got here.
Not like I have much of a choice.
It's better than letting them burn the whole place down. The last thing I want to do is deal with another forest fire.
Hooray!
Just like that, I'm dragged into Yellowstone's shenanigans.
So then, what you're gonna wanna do is slide these suckers in! Aha!
I can't bear to watch. I can't look away either.
And from there, you gotta... Wait, that's not right.
Have you never camped before, Yellowstone? This is embarrassing. Pitiful, even.
Just a tip, I think. Okay, I think I cracked the code. All you gotta do is step over here and lift this up and...
Ha! Oh my god. The fabric of the tent tugs beneath Yellowstone's boot. She face plants into the ground, half of the tent yanked along beside her, or behind her. There's a thud. And when it's said and done, she's tangled and untuned within the tent. Ah, volcano burrito. A volcano burrito.
You alive?
I don't know how to do that. There's no answer. Actually, wait. I figured out how to do it. It's escape. Config, settings, display, full screen window. Okay, we're good. Return. There's no answer. For a moment, I think we might have to dive in and save her, like a drowning dog. But that distinct cone shape wriggles its way through. Yellowstone gasps for air as her head pops to the surface. Oh my god, Thumper! Your shifting almost made you fall! And then breaks into breathy laughter.
What a tumble! But at least we know what doesn't work now.
Yep. I pinch the bridge of my nose until it feels like it might snap. The campers just look on at my side. Clara and Jackie, with genuine sprinklings of concern on their faces. Russ and the other guy stare with amazement and wonder as if they actually witnessed the correct way to pitch a tent. They aren't.
If you're going to offer your help to someone, you should at least know how to actually do that thing.
And I do! Just gotta refresh the old memory and it'll be easy peasy.
She curls her fingers into an okay sign. Somehow I'm not reassured.
It's all good. Once we have this tent and fire all set up, this place is gonna look dope AF.
The other three cringe, wearing various shades of disgust. Something I imagine I'd be doing too if I had any idea what it meant. Dope is like cool, right? So what does AF mean? Affirmative? Nope.
No, you wanna know what it is then?
Zoom in on Yellowstone, okay. Whatever it means, Yellowstone immediately takes a shine to it. Her head perks up and she gazes off into the distance.
Dope AF.
Oh no.
Dope A.
No.
Dope AF. Dope AF. Dope AF.
No.
Dope AF.
Taught her a new word.
No! She spouts it over and over, grooving along to the rhythm of her voice. The four hikers throw me worried glances, as if they knew this was the strangest part of Yellowstone.
Should I have not said that?
Nope!
There's no closing this Pandora's box, Liz.
Oh, it's Grok, actually.
This must be how she picks up all that slang she throws around. No wonder it's all over the place.
Sorry about our friend being so lame. We really appreciate your help, though. It's insane how quickly you were able to get this place all set up.
We were pretty much just winging it up until now.
Yeah, I could tell.
These people are way younger than their voices, infer. They all dodged eye contact with me except for Clara, who shrinks into herself, looking hurt. Okay, that might have been a bit too harsh, again. They haven't done anything yet. As far as campers go, they could be a lot worse. I didn't even spot a single can of beer when I was sorting through their food. They might not even know what a beer bag is, but they aren't bad kids.
It's fine. Everyone has to start somewhere. I'd rather you learn the right way than try to fail at it yourselves.
Clara chuckles. The invalidation seems to lift her spirits. Or the validation seeming to lift her spirits. It's a reminder that it might not hurt to be a little bit more patient with them.
At least we know how to dig a cat hole, yep.
The fuck is a cat hole? Only a little. I take a moment to scan the area and admire my handiwork. They were ready to call it a day, so I went ahead for them a nice flat clearing not too far off the trail. Trees surrounding the makeshift hideout like a natural fort. Poking between the leaves, the ranger lookout sits perched atop a hill like a prison guard. Unknown to even Yellowstone, this was intentionally on my part. This was intentional on my part. Just a precautionary measure in case of emergencies. Aside from choosing the campsite, you've got to head and set up their lawn chairs. I've gone ahead and set up their lawn chairs. It's a small detail, but it positioned them so they're facing the trail. That way, if any of them wakes up in the middle of the night, they can go stargazing without any trees blocking the way. Of course, the only reason those sort of details are so fresh in my head is because I had so much time to kill during my suspension. Nothing like mandatory leave to get you to reconnect with nature. Before that, the last time I went solo camping myself was... well, I guess it was before I joined the Park Service. Makes me wonder how much of myself I've given to this job. If I were to quit tomorrow, how much of me, the actual me, not Ranger Adams, would be left? It's scary to think about how I tied my sense of self with this job. I whine and moan about it all the time, but if I weren't a ranger, then I have no idea what I would be. Would I be nothing? Hell, would I even keep existing? So many years devoted to dreaming about this job. Just as many devoted to loathing it. But in both cases, I was always devoted.
Okie dokie, enough chit chat. I'm gonna try to set this bad boy up again, and this time it'll be dope, eh?
Nope, absolutely not. I've stood here and watched you stumble your way through this long enough.
Oh dear. This is an intervention. I think you did a good job, Yellowstone springs from the heap of the tent.
Look,
no!
You didn't even put the poles...
He stamped my enter key, skipping it. Yellowstone springs from the heap of the tent, only for me to push her aside and take a knee.
Look, you didn't even put the poles through the grommets.
Oh, is that what they are? I just call them hole thingies.
Oh dear.
Okay, you're officially banned from pitching this tent.
That's for the good of mankind. If anyone should know how to pitch a tent, it should be the spirit of a national park.
Just keep doing what you are now.
But I'm not doing anything! Nothing! Nada!
And you're doing such a good job at it, sweetie.
Quick puffs of smoke wheeze above her as she pouts, straining through the fabric of her hat. Doesn't matter how many hats she wears, if she can't control her emotions, then nothing is going to hide the thing that's coming out of her head.
Let's see, which one of you do I like the most? Clara.
Hey! How could you remember her name?
I ignore it. And gesture for Clara.
Get over here and help. I want to make sure at least one of you knows how this is done.
If anyone's gonna remember, it'll be Clara.
My brain just kind of wings it most of the time, too.
Clara gives an excited nod and scrambles over. She hovers over me and focuses in. It reminds me of Yosemite peering over and glancing at my journals when I'm writing.
I'll do my best.
If nothing else, she's at least motivated.
You see how I'm pushing this pole through the sleeve?
I slide the pole in and out of this tiny sleeve that runs across the tent.
Do the same thing on the other side, after it's in the grommet. From there, we'll lift it up together. Got it?
Sounds like a plan.
She skips to the other side and bends over. Diligently, she begins to slide the poles through the sleeves, matching them at the end with the color-coded tabs.
This is exciting! It's been such a long time since I've been camping like this. Like, actual camping.
It catches me off guard. Most people these days just go in their tin can motorhomes. Like that couple. I stop fiddling with the pole for just a few seconds and glance over.
Oh yeah?
Uh-huh. We lived near a national forest, so my dad would take me camping out there during extra long weekends. 4th of July, Memorial Day, things like that.
Aww. Good parenting. Would you look at that? I can't help but smirk a little as I slide the last sliver of the pole through. Maybe this kid isn't completely helpless.
A rugged outdoorsman, huh?
Oh my god, yes.
Lift.
We reach towards the middle of the tent and hoist it up at the same time. The poles act as a frame, giving the tent its modest round shape.
He was always doing something out there. I didn't know one man could spend so many hours fishing.
Reminds me of my old man. He and my brothers were the ones who got me into camping. To this day, you have the stakes?
Oh, shit, my bad.
Reminds me of my old man. He and my brothers were the ones who got me into camping. To this day, roughing it and loving it is the family motto. You have the stakes?
That's one heck of a scary motto. Fun, though. Makes me wish I had kept up with all this. And yeah, they're right here.
She grabs a handful of stakes and the hammer from the ground. The tent looking shapely now. There's more simple stuff that needs doing. Like putting the fly on, but stacking it is the last big one.
Well, when you get home, you can tell him about how you outdid him at his own hobby.
Wish I could, but he died a few years back.
She doesn't even flinch when saying it. It's as cheerful and natural sounding as the rest of the conversation. So maybe that's why I turned into a stuttering mess.
Mind if I do this part? I think I remember how to now.
Maybe that's why I nodded my head and agreed with it. She bends back down and starts hammering the stakes into the soft soil between the straps of fabric at the end of the pole.
The anniversary is coming up, and between that and school being so tough, I guess I just wanted to feel closer to him.
How does someone answer that? Am I expected to? Within the time it takes to snap your fingers, it feels like my entire perspective of this girl has gone through a kaleidoscope of changes. It's not because her dad is dead. Not entirely, anyway. If anything, I think it's because she even has a dad. These people in rowdy pains, the rowdy pains in my ass, who don't care about anything but themselves. They have family. They have lives. Put those things together and you realize, sweet mother of God, these people have some sort of rationale and perspective. My breath catches in my throat. Why does that scare me so much?
All done. Hope it's all up to snuff.
It should. Clara drops the hammer on the ground, presenting her achievement with a smile. Her friends and Yellowstone stand off to the side, oohing and aahing at this impressive display.
Looks pretty spiffy to me. You did a swell job. Don't you think so, Eve?
I shake myself out of it long enough to see an erected tent that isn't toppling over in the wind.
Yeah. Keep it up, and you'll be a real pro.
I can put on the fly if one of y'all wants to set up the fire. Yep, I can.
Ooh, me!
Yellowstone leaps up and down, volunteering herself to the cause. No one even has time to argue before she sprints over to the supplies.
I'm gonna go snag the lighter fluid!
Fuck! Takes a while for those words to sink in and settle, but once they do, I chase after her.
Hold it! I'm preemptively banning you from building a fire! You're banned! Got it? Banned!
That is probably for the best, if that tent has anything...
Good luck! Good night!
It's almost... Don't slam on the door. If I'm gonna yell at Tyler when he does it, I'm gonna yell at you too.
Alright.
Yellowstone shouts into the distance. The four hikers. Go sit down. I'm still mad at you. You fucking slammed into the door. The four hikers turned campers. Wave goodbye. The campfire I built for them, silhouetting their bodies in warm, flickering light.
Don't forget to drink lots of water! And be sure to bundle up!
As Yellowstone continues the spectacle of her farewell, I stand at her side, stiff as a statue.
Thanks for all your help.
Clara cups her hands around her mouth and yells, the energy in her voice carrying it even further than Yellowstone's. Thanks. I raised my hand. Even though I'm moving now, I feel stiff. From this far away, I doubt she can tell, but I give a slight wave, just once, before turning around and starting back on the trail. It takes a while, but eventually I hear Yellowstone's footsteps shuffle behind me. So we're in lockstep with each other, hiking in silence as the sky dims a deep orange. We're almost out of daylight here in Wyoming. I wonder how much is left in California. Though if I'm being honest with myself, finishing up the trash couldn't be farther from my mind at this point.
That sure was fun.
She looks up, gazing at the trees, branches almost looking like shadows in this light, stripped of their textures.
You don't think so?
I don't know what I think.
Hey, calm down. Oh my god, there's someone here. Go, tiny dog. Greet them. Except that's a lie. I felt something when we were helping out those hikers, but it wasn't fun. No, it was fear. Fear that I might not be as hardened as I wish I were. Fear that maybe in some way I might be wrong.
Well, I had a swell time.
There's a somber tenderness in Yellowstone's voice, like the volume on her has been turned down.
All those pleases and thank yous, it was nice, you know? I wish it could be like that all the time.
I feel like a rock just sank into to the pit of my stomach, and now it can only sit there while I dwell on it. What she wants is impossible. Most people aren't grateful or even half interested. Every so often you'll get someone like Clara and her friends, but those are few and far between. For the most part, people are careless and destructive. They are, right? Because if they aren't, then this entire time I've been... Two hikers pass us by in the opposite direction. Their hair matted from gallons of sweat pouring down them, but both smiling. Yellowstone gasps.
We're almost at the tip-top! Come on, Slowpoke!
There's no time for me to live up to my new mantle of Slowpoke, though. Yellowstone grabs my wrist and tugs me along behind her. My feet stumble over each other and struggle to match her pace.
Careful! You're gonna yank my arm out of my socket!
We stop.
Oh.
Oh, that's beautiful. Below us, a sweeping valley of trees extends miles ahead, blanketing the earth with its greenery. It's cut off by a sheared cliff, a sudden drop that would swallow everything in darkness, if not for the sun's glowing orange reflecting off the rocks. Beyond even that, the park rolls off into the pink horizon, stretching on forever. All that anchors us here is the posted wooden sign. Mount Washburn. Elevation 10,243 feet.
Ain't it a sight for sore eyes?
Very sore.
Me too, huh?
I glance down at Yellowstone. She glances up at me. For a long time we stare at each other. The blue in Yellowstone's eyes almost looks gray, as the color has been sucked out from it. As if the color has been sucked out from it. Like how the color has been out of me. She's always excitable, always so loud and so bouncy. There's not an off button on this girl. Even when she's sleeping, in more ways than I can count, she's my polar opposite. Why does it feel like we're on the same wavelength right now? I rear myself away from and stare off into the distance, not looking at anything in particular.
Maybe.
Golly, you sure do have a lot of pride, Missy.
Mm-hmm.
Don't assume things so much. You'll turn out like Yosemite.
Despite me being deathly serious, Yellowstone chuckles. She slides her hat off, revealing her volcano. It's a reminder that whatever she or those other two girls are, they aren't human. Not entirely.
You sure it's okay to take that off?
Yep. Folks usually don't come up here once it's dark.
Taking a knee, she wriggles out of her backpack and zips it open, like a magician pulling tissues from their sleeve. She unfolds a checkered picnic blanket and lays it out on the ground.
Come on, take a load off. It's wild comfy.
She pats the blanket. Dust comes flying off it in small plumes. Doesn't bother me though. My aching feet need a rest, dust or no dust.
She not done it all day.
Yeah. I take Yellowstone up on her offer and plop down next to her. Even on top of the blanket, I can feel myself sink into the soil. In a way, it's like falling onto a soft bed after a long day. Refreshing.
It's always so nice picking back up here. That crisp mountain air really helps you get back to nature.
Not that I don't agree, but...
Aren't you technically nature?
Giggling, Yellowstone slaps me on the back, like she's been trying to burp a baby. Well-meaning, I'm sure, but with how hard she's been doing it, I feel like I'm going to somersault over the face of the mountain.
That's different, you goofball. This here is my special place.
Special place?
Yeah, everyone's gotta have a special place. I bet you have one too.
I think back to my old hikes up Lambert Dome, and how when I was at the peak, sweaty and scarfing down as much thin air as I could, I would sit down on a rock and start to journal. The wind was sometimes so fierce that it would rip the papers right out of the notebook. But I was always able to make it work. At least back then I could.
I'm a ranger. The entire park is my special place.
Yellowstone blows out an impressed whistle that I swear echoes across the valley.
Phew, can't argue with that kind of gumption now, can I?
Yellowstone's eyes widen.
Golly, I almost forgot! I gotta do laundry!
With a burst of second wind, she unzips another one of the many, many zippers on her backpack.
Well, unless you take us home, there's not a whole lot you can...
The words had barely left my mouth when she dumps a trash bag full of dirty clothes into her head. What?
Never mind.
I can't let you out today, girl.
It only gets more horrifying when she starts tossing in pods of detergent next.
Yosemite is gonna bust a gasket if I don't get this done. Eve, quick! Say something super mean to me.
Oh, man.
It's okay. I can take it.
You're gonna cry. You can't take it. She gives me a determined nod, but I don't think she quite understands that I tend to specialize in this kind of stuff. There's a reason those bozos back at the station call me Porcupine. But if she insists...
No one in the entire world, now or ever, will ever love you.
Takes a moment to digest what I said. Her face goes downcast.
Wow. What a bummer.
Nothing you do will ever be appreciated or acknowledged. It's pointless.
That's really heavy.
Tears spot the corner of Tears spot the corner of her eyes. Whatever I'm doing must be working, because the distant sounds of bumbling water begin to belch out of her volcano.
Pointless, just like your existence. If you think about it, if you keeled over tomorrow, your impact on the world would basically amount to nothing. I guess the worms would appreciate.
She shoves me. I nearly tip over.
Knock it off! You're just being nasty now. You big bully!
Whimpering, she tries to sniff back the tears, but that doesn't stop the water from boiling to the top of her head. Instead of squirting out the geyser as it has before, it bubbles at the surface. The clothes rise to the top. Wadded up into a soapy ball, foam creeps down her head, like snow resting atop a mountain.
So does that mean it's working?
Yellowstone nods her head, snorts back the snot as she regains composure.
Now it's just gotta stay like this for a little while.
And you have to do this every time you need to do laundry?
I can do it without all the waterworks, but it's slow as molasses.
That sucks. Holy shit.
That sounds exhausting.
She starts to laugh, but just as quickly it fades into a sigh.
It is. But it's cool beans. I've always been a bit of a crybaby anyway. In fact, the first thing I can remember is waking up and crying right over there.
My head falls. You realize you're holding a one-sided conversation with someone who has not been listening to you this entire time, correct?
Let's see how you respond.
My head follows along. Oh, here's my response. Activate your phone. My head follows along with her finger because I'm sick and tired of. I was sick and tired last time. I'm sick and tired now of having to be your messenger boy. You needed it yesterday and it wasn't raining.
Yeah, only because I'm fucking Go on your bed.
Why are you going on my bed? Cat is on my bed? When did he get in here? Marcus, when did you let the cat in?
I did.
Marcus, it had to have been you. My head follows along with her finger until she finally settles on some shrubs on the hillside.
In the bushes.
Darn Skippy! And in my birthday suit to boot. In fact, the first thing I can remember is waking up and crying. Darn Skippy! And in my...
That's just asking for trouble.
Like a $5 fee comes up to nearly $50.
I didn't have much of a choice.
For just like X amount of hours.
Once I woke up, I spent a long time on my own.
A full month of unlimited everything.
A hazy gaze lingers in Yellowstone's eyes. Her mouth hangs open like she's about to say something, but for a long time she doesn't. And all I can do is listen to the sound of her boiling head mix with the wind.
A super long time.
Like a month?
I grip the blanket nervously twist it, knowing full well my guess is on the conservative side. Maybe it looks like she's giving. Maybe it's the look she's giving, or maybe it's just a gut feeling.
Longer.
My stomach takes another plunge. Even if I expect it, it's still sobering to hear it.
I was keeping track of the days, but then there was this huge blizzard and I lost my spot. I was brushing up against 10,000 though.
Holy shit.
No way!
I'm no math genius, but if I crunch the numbers in my head really quick, 10,000 days is almost 30 years.
You wandered around Yellowstone National Park naked and alone for decades?
Not naked. I would have frozen my tiny hiney off years ago. You see, there was this nice gal who was out camping.
Yellowstone massages the sides of her head, just beneath the base of the her volcano, eyes squinting like she's fighting a migraine.
I can't remember if she saw me first or if I stumbled on her. It's been so long, I don't even know what she looks like, but I do remember that she lent me her clothes. And that it was the first time I wasn't alone.
Yellowstone's voice sounds like a husk. Hearing it doesn't feel right, like I'm listening to something forbidden. Trying to fight it with the only thing I really know anymore. Cynicism.
Being alone out in the woods for a couple years doesn't sound too bad. Don't have to deal with other people, at least.
That's the thing. I didn't even know other people existed.
Oh dear.
Well, maybe I did. Somewhere in the back of my noggin. But I sure hadn't seen them before. You're a lot like Yosemite.
I am certainly not!
Offense has been taken.
It's true, though. You both gotta have your alone time. That's dandy and all, but for a gal like me, it was so... dope AF.
I might throw myself off this cliff if she says that one more time.
I'd never felt something like that before. It made me feel all kinds of warm and fuzzies, so I kept going out and looking for more people.
My eyes can't help but drift up to her volcano, instead of smoke or vapor simmering from it. The clouds clouding the top of her head with hazy waves of heat.
Wouldn't people be...
spooked?
I was going to say mortified, but that works.
As sure as the sun would rise.
Oh dear. Yellowstone gives a deflated sigh. The steam above her puffs out in a cloud.
But if they stuck around long enough, I'd try to help them out. Bring them kindling wood or grub, things like that. Sometimes they'd even talk to me.
That's nice of them. Her standards for communication are low. It's kind of impressive. But part of me wonders if both me and Yellowstone are looking for the same thing. Validation. Only difference is that Yellowstone was desperate enough to keep pursuing it, while I just gave up.
But in the end, they'd always pack up and leave, and I'd be alone again.
The corners of the sky have been brushed with a deep blue, bright red, brilliant red. The gradients with the darkening blue. Oh, it gradients with darkening blue. Two different colors from the opposite end of the spectrum. Usually they would clash, but instead they blend and meld together, mixing into a faded lavender.
It was like that. It was always like that. Then Zion and Yosemite found me.
A question flies across my mind. How? Why would Zion and Yosemite even be in Yellowstone National Park? But something inside me tells me to save it for later. Whatever it is, it keeps me from spouting off my knee-jerk objections. That's the big difference between me and Yosemite. I actually have manners when I want to.
For the first time since I woke up on this rock, it felt like I had a place to belong. Like a family, you dig?
Gotcha.
I dig.
Yellowstone clasps her hands, rocking side to side as she recalls her nostalgia for the good old days.
Suddenly, I wasn't so lonesome anymore. Zion and Yosemite were both so chummy and nice to me. I wanted to do whatever I could to help out around the cabin.
Well, good to know Yosemite wasn't always a slave driver.
Yosemite didn't used to be a lot of things. Zion too, but in different ways.
Steam rising above her thickens a little. Or the steam rising above her thickens a little. Maybe it's even darker. Her pleasant stroll down memory lane comes to a dead end. Her voice falling back into that usual monotone sadness.
But now things are just so different. I try my darndest, but Yosemite is such a grump and Zion can't help out like she used to. It's almost like I'm as lonesome as I was way back when.
Yellowstone sniffles, and the water in her head bubbles to the surface, spilling down her volcano and into some of her hair.
Is that dumb, Eve? Am I just stinking thinking?
Nah, it's probably not, no. As the other two become more and more different, while she stays the same, more stress is put onto her. Something in my cold, withered heart sizzles as she wipes a few twinkling tears on her sleeve. I hate to be a sap about it, but I think maybe I was onto something. Maybe me and Yellowstone might have a bit more in common than I would like to admit. I could never be as open about it as her. Not when a brave face is what's gotten me this far. But that need for validation, for respect, I get it. You're not alone, kid.
I don't think it is.
Yellowstone's head twists over to look at me, so fast I'm afraid she might get whiplash. She looks at me like I just spouted a volcano from the top of my head.
Wipe that look off your face before I take it back.
She whips her hand across her dumbfounded face. When her hand reaches the other side of her cheek, she's wearing a stretched out frown that digs into her dimples.
How do I put this? It's like the dumbest, most intrusive thoughts are probably the most honest. If it's in your head, then there's probably a reason for it, right?
Accurate. Yellowstone's strained frown has collapsed into gawking amazement.
Do you get those dumb, implosive thoughts too, Eve?
Constantly. Wouldn't have clocked a guy in the face and ended up stationed at the cabin if I didn't.
I feel like we all get those thoughts. The ones that might be a little truer than we all think. That are slightly negative, sometimes majorly so.
Hot diggity.
A hot flush spreads through my face as I play tug-of-war with the urge to divulge more information. On one hand, she basically kidnapped me and made it so I'm all but guaranteed to get chewed out by Jesse. On the other hand, I feel like I owe it to her in a way. There's nothing worse than feeling like you're the only one who cares, who's trying.
Actually, I had one of those implosive thoughts today.
Ooh, don't keep hanging, spit it out!
She leans in so close that her volcano is practically in my ear. With all the bubbling, it sounds like a cauldron, and it smells like a laundromat.
So, those campers from earlier?
They would have been up a creek without us. Maybe even literally.
Yeah.
Them. Yeah. When we were helping them out, one of them said something to me about how her old man used to take her camping before he passed.
Yeah.
Wowzers, that's kind of a shocker, seeing as they all look scared of ya.
Trust me, I'm not the only one who's shocked. It gave me this weird feeling.
Yeah, suddenly all those people that you've been bashing for the past couple of days, or probably years in your case, they're not just things on a wall that don't have anything other than them. They're people with families and lives, and all of a sudden it's so much more difficult to say that they're to feel like they're not that.
Like those warm fuzzies I was talking about?
Yellowstone wraps herself in her arms like she's curling up into a blanket.
Nah, the opposite. Like, I wanted to puke.
Yikes. You really do hate people, huh?
That's what I thought. I deal with so many clowns and chuckleheads every day, I could build a circus. But this group wasn't that. They were just good kids. Looking back, a lot of visitors are. At the very least, they can shut up and follow directions. They're like cattle. Round them up and ship them off so I don't have to deal with them. So when one comes along to remind me that she's a real person, it's
very I imagine it's a very much a 180.
Sucker punch?
Yeah, there's the word I was going for.
Something like that.
I let out a sigh right as the wind howls past us, rustling through the trees.
I've been doing this way too long. It's rotted me to my core.
Ah, you're not that bad. But a core is better than nothing. As long and nothing is all I would have left if I turned into mush. Tried being vulnerable and open. For years I did. But it all left me with... All it left me was who I am now. Yellowstone leaps to her feet. Hot water splashes everywhere.
Bogus talk. Sounds to me like you had a bonding moment and you're too chicken to admit it.
Fuck, damn. The fighter in me swings up without a second thought.
I am not afraid of admitting anything.
You are very much so, Eve. Even if I'm swinging way outside the truth.
Oh yeah? Not even that you had fun helping those campers out?
I freeze, stare, look away. Damn it. Now she knows. Yellowstone crouches down, leaning closer. She tries to coax an answer out of me.
Not even an itsy bitsy teeny weeny bit?
Okay, fine.
I swat her away like an annoying fly.
It was sorta nice to help out people who were genuinely enthusiastic.
And don't forget grateful.
Yeah, that's another one to put on the list.
Don't you just wish it could always be like this?
Yeah. I chuckle a little, brushing myself off as I climb to my feet.
Sure. Wish Pop would crap gold too, but I think I'll be waiting a while for both of those miracles.
Why can't we just make it happen ourselves?
What? What do you mean?
She turns to look at me. There's a smoldering fire of excitement in her eyes. Tendrils of smoke rise from her volcano in ears.
The miracles?
What just happened to the music? I take a step backwards. I feel a sudden surge of heat emanating from Yellowstone. My foot slips on a pebble. I grasp the guardrail to keep from falling. I nervously laugh.
That's a nice thought, but it's about time we head home, don't you think?
Why? Who says we have to go home?
Oh dear.
What are you talking about? Of course we have to go back.
Do we, though? Do we really?
Oh dear. A sort of orange glow starts to light up her head, like a shy sunset.
Okay, whatever you're doing definitely isn't funny. Just take us home now. We've been here long enough.
I wouldn't have minded staying a few minutes longer, just to let her enjoy it. But with the way she's acting now, I don't like it. It gives me a bad feeling. The kind I would feel before getting a serious call from dispatch. Something instinctive. Yellowstone shakes her head, causing smoke to weave, a lazy spiral in the air.
Just think about it, Eve. We can go around helping folks and they'll always appreciate it. And nobody will ever yell at us.
What do you mean?
I get how you feel, but that wasn't...
If you get it, then why not? Were you just fibbing when you said all that stuff about people being good?
The question is like a smack across the face. I'm not even sure how to go about responding at first.
That's not important. I have responsibilities. You have responsibilities.
No! Yosemite says I have responsibilities. I only ever wanted to help, but not if nobody cares!
You brat.
I can feel all the goodwill that Yellowstone had built up over the day crumbling away.
This little crisis you're having? I've been dealing with it every day for the last 5 years, so don't you even try to lord it over me. Your stunt has already cost me the entire day. My supervisor is never gonna let me hear the end of it.
With each sentence, I step towards her, regaining the distance I lost earlier. Yellowstone just shakes her head, like a petulant 5-year-old, tuning out or ignoring what I say.
She's going to be asking what caused me to abandon my duties. And the truck, which is government property, I might add, and I'm not gonna have anything good to tell her. So the least you can do, literally the absolute least, is take me back like you promised and suck it up like I do!
Oh my god. Finally, we're a little over an arm's length away from each other.
You don't get it.
Her voice is her voice is a hoarse whisper. Smoke swirls from her head, wrapping around us.
Say that again.
I reach for her, ready to drag her ass back to Yosemite National Park myself.
No one gets it!
A wave of violent heat ripples off of Yellowstone. Hot enough that it drives me back again, pressing my hand to my forehead to shield myself.
Ah! What the hell?
The air shimmers in front of her as Yellowstone clenches her fist. Black dust mars the ground beside her, where she just obliterated some poor weeds. Pieces of charred laundry rain down on us. For a brief moment, I can see something like regret in her face, but she switches back to looking upset. I don't even know why. I haven't even had time to ask. She went from 0 to 1 to 212 in just a couple of seconds. My mouth goes dry.
I thought maybe, just maybe, you would understand. But I was wrong. You're just like Yosemite! Well, I'm sick of it!
She takes a step backwards. The entire ground shakes. Startled birds take to the sky, abandoning the trees in droves. I lose my balance, falling to one knee. The ground rumbles again. Yosemite unleashes a frustrated, blood-curdling scream. My hands go from shielding my forehead to covering my ears. When the scream is over, I look up just in time to see Yellowstone disappearing into the woods.
Hey! Where do you think you're going?
Doesn't do anything good though. Any good, sorry. All that remains of her presence is ashy ground where she stood. And the remains of laundry. I think one of Yosemite's socks landed in the picnic basket. I stumble to my feet and give chase. It's difficult to follow her because I keep losing my footing. But I do my best. Other campers and hikers fly past in varying degrees of panic. But I don't hear what they say.
You little brat! I'm gonna shove my foot so far up your ass, it'll come out that volcano!
Animals go by too. Terrified rabbits and mice. And a few desperate deer. All careen past. The only thing I can imagine. I can only imagine what it's like in other parts of the park. If they're affected.
Yellowstone!
I must sound like an idiot to anyone who hears me. Just screaming the name of the park, but I don't care. Yellowstone, the girl. I need to find Yellowstone, the girl, and get out of here. As I run, I recognize the futility of what I'm doing. I have no idea what direction she might have gone, and it's already dark. Getting darker. I don't even have a flashlight. With a sixth sense of irony, I realize I'm doing exactly what I yell at unprepared hikers for doing, wandering off the path without a plan. I keep running. My hat flies off my head. I reach to grab it, but the ground rumbles again.
Whatever.
With a groan, I leave it behind and call for Yellowstone. For a second, I think I see the glow from her volcano. But when I get closer, I just realize it's that it's the ashes of a recently abandoned campfire. Whoever made it probably left when the earthquake began. I quickly smother it in dirt, since I'm unable to smother my ranger instincts. More and more distressed birds abandon the trees, while agitated mice and the like continue to whisk by underfoot. My heart pounds from both exertion and from fear. The attitude doesn't make it any easier to breathe. The altitude doesn't make it any easier to breathe. What if I can't find her? What if she doesn't want to be found? Up ahead, I pass by some more trees. Then I realize I'm at the edge of the mountain once again. Since this is a touristy spot, there's no guardrail at this section. Just open space beyond the yawning and inky blackness waiting below. Not a single trace of Yellowstone. Just as I think that, shaking and rumbling starts up again. Once more, I feel myself wobble and start to fall over. Except this time, I'm not able to catch myself. My feet slide out from under me, and I slam onto my side, hard as the momentum carries me the rest of the way over the edge. Pebbles and dirt batter my face as I scramble to find a handhold. Vile and pure, unadulterated panic sears my throat as my fingers find the slightest lip of rock to grab hold of.
Crap! Not again!
My voice bounces off the rocks below me, creating a rippling echo that sings out into the darkness, or that rings out into the darkness. My hands sting, and my arms ache from the effect of supporting me. It's only been a couple of seconds. This is pathetic, and the worst sort of irony. My life doesn't flash before my eyes. So maybe that's a good sign, unless that happens right before you hit the ground. I strain my muscles as I try to pull myself up. It reminds me of my training back in Glinko. Feel the burn, Adams, feel the burn. A trickle of dust pours into my face as the rock ledge I'm holding onto starts to crumble. I can feel the stones start to slide past my fingers. Damn it, I won't be able to hold my weight. It won't be able to hold my weight. It's really going to happen like this, huh? Spend years of my life telling people to be careful around cliffs, only to end up falling down one myself. The universe sure does have a way of kicking me when I'm down. I shut my eyes. Maybe it's not so bad. At least this long joke will finally be over. The stone gives way. I fall. Force presses against my back. My boot grinds against the cliffside as I slow to a floating stop. A sound of roaring wind is replaced with the flapping of two overworked wings. A small, familiar voice squeaks behind me. Thank God for Zion!
Miss Eve, you're really heavy.
Thank you, Zion, for saving my life.
Zion?
Or for Eve's life. My eyes drift down to my feet. If someone looked at this sideways, it might seem as if I'm walking up the cliff.
Don't worry, Miss Eve. We've got you.
Is she here too?
I glance back at Zion, but I immediately regret it when I realize I can't see the bottom.
What do you mean by she? I could have just left you to plummet to your death, you know.
Yosemite's harsh voice carries above me, and I look up to see her holding out her hand. Without thinking, I grab it. Zion, finally free of the burden that is me, slides down to my boots and holds them up. With one giant heave, Yosemite pulls me onto the cliff.
Miss Eve, are you okay?
Yes, maybe, ish. Am I okay? I paw at the ground, half expecting it to erode and fall away, only to realize that I'm dead and that Yosemite and Zion being here are just fantasies my brain concocted to help me accept it.
Did the fall make you forget how to talk?
Yosemite slaps my hat over my head. It's crooked.
I'm okay. Thank you.
I awkwardly sit up, shame keeping me from looking into Yosemite's eyes. Of all people to be indebted to.
How did you find me out here?
The paintings work both ways.
How
The paintings work both ways. Also, I had Zion patrol the bottom of the cliff because I figured you were already dead.
Fuck you, Yosemite.
That's comforting.
Zion tugs at my sleeve.
Miss Eve, not to interrupt, but do you know where Yellowstone is?
That's right.
I punch my palm to make a loud smack. That whole almost dying thing almost made me forget about her.
I was just looking for that brat, actually.
The two of you weren't together?
She ran off. We were just talking, and then all of a sudden she got really pissy. Reminded me of you, actually. I was going after her, and then all this happened.
Yosemite and Zion's faces both go pale.
Uh-oh. That might be a problem.
How mad was she?
Erupting.
I don't know. Why are you being attacked by your conscience now?
Conversations with Yosemite always put me a bit on the offensive, but even Yosemite doesn't rise to my bait this time.
I mean it. Was she truly angry?
I guess so. What does that have to do with anything?
Do you know where you are? Does Yellowstone National Park not mean anything to you?
There are a couple of iconic elements to the park. Wildfire, the wildlife, the geysers, the super volcano.
No.
Oh, fuck!
That can't be what's happening.
Deductive reasoning, put the pieces together. She is Yellowstone National Park.
Yes.
She's at Yellowstone National Park. What do you think is going to happen when she erupts in Yellowstone National Park?
That volcano has been dormant for centuries. It can't just go off on a whim.
Oh, but it can and it will.
Thanks for the insight, little Miss Geologist, but that's not going to actually stop it from happening. And when it does...
Yellowstone's gonna flip her lid!
Finally, someone uses that phrase properly.
There's no way. She can't cause an eruption or anything, right?
Do I look like I'm messing with you right now? Does any of this?
She gestures around the empty forest, still rocked by the occasional tremors. No. I hate it when I have to admit she's right.
Do you know why she was upset?
Seriously? Did you not see how she stormed out of the cabin in a huff this morning?
She's still angry over that? This girl will be the death of me, I swear.
Funny that she says that, considering she's literally almost been the death of me twice.
Well, I might have gotten a little snippy with her, but only because she started going on about how she wanted us to stay here forever. Not a bad idea, but I have work.
Pinching the bridge of her nose, Yosemite lets out a long sigh.
Thanks for making a bad problem worse.
I didn't. I wasn't trying to.
You did, but you weren't trying to. I stutter through my words. I'm not sure if I should be apologizing or defending myself or whatever. Nothing I can say feels right.
It's okay, Miss Eve. I know you didn't mean to doom Western civilization.
As if on cue, the rumbling underground starts up once more. Zion goes airborne to avoid it, while Yosemite and I use the trees for balance.
We need to find her fast. You have no idea where she might be.
None. She ran off a while ago. I don't know which direction she went.
We'll have to hope we get lucky then.
She hands me a flashlight, and the two of them have their own as well. Switching on the beams, we look around for any trace of Yellowstone, moving as quickly as we can.
I doubt she's gone very far. She's probably hiding somewhere close by. Even she has to be aware of what's going on. I don't think she's stupid enough to let it happen, but still.
She's all alone. She must be really scared.
Her fault for running off.
That's generalizing the situation a bit. The flashlights that we have are powerful, cutting through the darkness easily. Still, without any real idea of where to start looking, it feels like the task is futile.
Seriously, if she wasn't so overdramatic about every little thing, we wouldn't have half as many issues as we do.
Yosemite tilts the beam upwards, as if Yellowstone might be hiding in a tree. I get a glimpse of just how annoyed Yosemite herself looks. I won't lie, there's a couple of choice words or beatings I'd like to give to Yellowstone when I find her, but it's not like she's entirely wrong to be upset. Yosemite isn't just a nag. She's actively being antagonistic towards her.
Yellowstone! Come out, wherever you are!
Zion flutters a bit off the ground, just enough to put the top of her head level with mine. I'm too exhausted to worry about other people seeing her right now. And we all have bigger things to worry about.
Yeah, come out! Don't you think you've done enough already?
That's sure to make her want to meet up with us.
Did I ask for your opinion? I can't imagine I would.
My teeth grit together until the bottom set slides out. This girl must have a grapefruit-sized set on her to blow me off like that. Isn't this diva the one always thrusting her opinions on me when I don't want them?
Well, that's what you're gonna get. So shove it, you overgrown tree.
Yosemite turns to glare at me, her face twisted in anger. Her flashlight shines on her chin, illuminating her half her face, leaving the other half in shadows. Yosemite can flip on the scare factor whenever she wants, just like the night we met. She's not half bad at it either. Unfortunately for her, I can be scarier.
I've spent the better part of my day with Yellowstone. It might have been borderline kidnapping, but I think it's given me a good handle on why she's acting up.
Oh, the ranger has a theory. This is gonna be rich.
Not a theory, the truth.
It's more than a theory. And with all the moral dribble you try to cram into my head, I would have thought you'd be more aware of it.
Aware of what?
That Yellowstone is acting out because she's not getting any validation.
Yosemite lets out a single guff-like sound, like some kind of rich Victorian woman.
Oh, Eve. Poor, precious, obvious Eve. You're projecting.
No, she's right.
Excuse me?
It's not hard to piece together. You need validation for your miserable job, so of course you think Yellowstone needs it too.
My initial reaction is to swat this flashlight over her head, and earlier today I probably would have. But the more I think about it, the more I realize something.
Maybe you're right.
Yosemite does a double take. Shocked at first, but suspicion starts to creep on her face. She knows there's more coming.
But if that's what helped me relate to her, then so what? I'm not saying the little conehead is completely right, but would it kill you to show a little empathy?
Empathy? Really?
She gets closer. Her chin touches my forehead. About to touch my forehead. But I look up and meet her eyes.
Is that what you showed those campers this morning?
I look away.
That's what I thought.
That's a straw man. What a dirty trick. But I get the point. I'm not exactly in a position to defend people who have a penchant for screwing up. But there are people behind mistakes. People like Clara and her outdoorsy dad. Yosemite walks away, shining her flashlight back on forgotten paths, shaking trees.
Listen close, Eve. There's a difference between being ignorant and insistently inconveniencing others. Yellowstone is like a child who won't mind. She's just throwing a tantrum until someone notices her. Don't be that person.
Wow! You really are delusional! Fuck you.
I can only hope she's not dumb enough to.
Will you stop being so mean to Yellowstone?
Thank you, Zion. Yosemite and I both freeze in our tracks as Zion's voice cuts her off. We both turn to face the little cherub, who looks very unhappy.
It's like you aren't even hearing what Eve's saying. Maybe Yellowstone is lashing out, but she's only doing that because she's sad!
This is accurate.
Yellowstone loves helping. It's her favorite thing in the whole wide world, but wouldn't you be sad if no one ever thanked you? All you do is complain about her, even though she does so much for us.
This is also accurate. Speaking the real truth over here, Zion. Keep on, please. Maybe you'll get through the thick skull of Yosemite.
Maybe I'm not the best at saying thank you to her either, but at least I don't say lots of mean things about her when she's not even around. You always tell people to be smart and to help others be smart. Then why can't you tell Yellowstone what she's doing wrong and help instead of just calling her dumb?
Exactly.
You make me so mad!
She flaps her wings angrily and moves closer to Yosemite, who watches open-mouthed.
You're nothing but a big old hypocrite!
Now Yosemite's mouth snaps shut like a mousetrap. She blinks several times. Several budding tears leak out. She meekly nods. I don't have anything to say either, as Zion descends to the ground. Her footsteps light enough to not make a sound. She marches off towards a nearby bush.
What? Where are you going?
To find Yellowstone.
The correct thing to do. I look to Yosemite, who's shielding her face with her arms as she chokes on her muffled tears.
Wow.
Get fucked, Yosemite.
What? What are you looking at? Keep walking.
I'm looking at someone who just got shut out by a 5-year-old. That's what I'm looking at. She tries to wipe her tears, but it only makes her eyes more red. I back away and follow Zion's lead. Holy crap, Yosemite just got chewed out by a toddler. Oh my god. Zion kneels down, and I crouch around to see what she's doing. Yosemite drags way behind us, sulking. There, underneath the bush Zion chose, is a cute bunny rabbit. He's ash gray with the tiniest black teeth, a black spot on his ears. Zion deliberately aims the beam of her flashlight not to blind him, while she lays a hand against it. Only then do I realize it's quaking in fear. Little tremors, spasms, like the other ones that have been shaking the earth, rock its body. Its wild eyes dart around while its snout twitches.
Poor thing.
Shh.
Without even looking, Zion shushes me with a finger against her lips. Gently, ever so gently, she strokes the hapless rabbit. Soon its shaking stops and it settles down. After a minute or two, it even leans against Zion's hand, as if asking for more pets. That's when Zion stands up and the bunny hops off into the forest, seeming relieved.
I know where Yellowstone is now. The rabbit saw her in a clearing not too far away from here.
Thank fucking God that you can speak animal, Zion.
You can talk to animals?
Why are you surprised by this?
Don't be silly, Miss Eve. Animals can't talk.
Okay, now I look like the idiot. I exchange a glance with Yosemite, but she huffs and puffs and looks away. At this point, I'm just along for the ride, wherever it takes me. Zion sets off into the forest, seeming like she knows where she's going. She mostly goes on foot, but occasionally lifts herself into the air to avoid forest debris. After a bit, there's a rustling sound ahead, not too far from where Zion is. Aww, she's crying. Yosemite aims her flashlight beam right into Yellowstone's tear-stained face. You said that already. Now you just sound like a fucking recorder.
No! Don't look at me!
No, don't look. Oh, oops.
No! Don't look at me!
A couple sad wisps of smoke raise from her volcano, looking more like cobwebs than anything. The glow and heat from before are gone. Yellowstone's eyes are puffy from crying. The sleeves of her hoodie are stained with snot and tears.
Yellowstone is just us.
We're super worried about you.
Zion takes a few steps into the clearing.
Don't come any closer! I screwed up real bad this time.
Ah, you're fine. You didn't cause this interruption. You were close, but it's fine. Yellowstone starts to sob, choking out the words between her gutted breaths.
Sorry, I'm so useless. I can't do anything right. Everyone's so smart, and nice, and responsible, but I'm none of that stuff. I'm just a stupid crybaby who can't even do chores without screwing it all up.
You're fine. You've got way too much responsibility on your shoulders, and you're not getting any recognition for it. You get nothing but bad-mouthed by a fucking elf for hours on end. I'd be mad too if I was doing everything to keep that elf happy.
None of you should have to put up with me. And I know, right in the pit of my gut, that you all would be so much happier if I just wasn't around. I'm sorry you had to find me way back when. I'm sorry for being no good.
Don't you dare say that about yourself!
She hurries over to her friend, wrapping her arms around Yellowstone, who's kneeling down closer to the ground. They embrace each other. Yellowstone sobs, coming harder and fast. Hard and fast.
But I burned the laundry.
The laundry, I almost forgot in the panic. They were in her head when she went and exploded. I hope mine was in another load.
Who cares about those old clothes? I was afraid that I wouldn't get to say thank you for all the nice things you do for us.
That just makes Zion cry even harder. She doesn't even talk. She doesn't even try to talk. She just cries and cries, soaking Zion's shoulder. Not that Zion seems to mind. Yosemite and I maintain our distance. She's quieter, but I think she might be sobbing harder than Yellowstone in her chest. Her chest heaves up. Her chest heaving up and down as she tries to stay quiet. Scoot a little closer to her and pat Yosemite's shoulder. The shaking has completely stopped for now. The world is still quiet. It's still in quiet. I look above the trees and into the sky. Between the branches, it looks like a portal into the stars.
Would you look at that? It's a clear night.
Was that the end of the chapter?
Reprimands, write-ups, trail duty. You'll be helping Simmons clean up so much trash that the plastic is going to biodegrade before you're done.
I flinch away from the headset as Jesse continues to squawk out new additions to the growing list of punishments I'll be receiving.
With all due respect, ma'am, if I've proven my incompetence at taking out the trash, then maybe that isn't the best course of action?
My voice stiffens. I sound like the verbalization of a 2x4. If I appeal to Jesse's paramilitary side, might be able to get out of this. She pauses, nothing but static coming from the other line. Maybe I'll actually be able to pull this off.
Cute. Let's see if you can keep up that charm when dealing with the field trip group tomorrow. Any other holes you want to dig?
Not really.
Yikes, Jessie doesn't just lay down the law, she is the law. Still, it's not like I can actually explain myself. What would I say? Sorry, I neglected my duties and left the government's truck in the middle of nowhere, but Yellowstone, the girl, took me to Yellowstone, the park. May as well trade my badge for a straitjacket at that point. Groaning, Jessie fakes a cry that sounds just a little too real.
Ugh. Why do you always make my job so much harder, Eve? Is it fun? I remember when I used to have fun.
Oh boy, I really did it this time.
Look, I'm really sorry, Jessie. Something came up, and I had to,
I cough because there's no way I can say this with a straight face, and it won't sound bad.
hitch a ride back and take care of it.
God, it sounds even worse out loud.
Take the truck then! I had to send Ernie to go get it. Now I'm down a man and there's 24 completely full trash cans in high occupancy areas.
Oh dear.
As if I didn't already have enough on my hands with all this Yellowstone business. Do you know how many locals called me about the earthquakes?
Please tell me it was just one lone idiot.
Try 42. Today.
Damn. Someone give this poor woman a break. Whatever she makes, it isn't enough.
It's like, hello? This isn't even the right park. And even if it were, I don't have any information that's not on the news. And I don't think my degree in criminal justice qualifies me to try and gather more. I'm at the end of my rope and it's starting to look more and more like a noose.
For the past 12 hours, the news cycle has been ablaze with reports of volcanic activity centered in Yellowstone National Park. Several earthquakes, one of which was a 7.2 on the Richter scale, having also been reported. The scientists types have been up in arms. Young guy with messy hair on talk shows, huffing and puffing about how catastrophic this could be. Call it a hunch, but I think it's all gonna die down in a few days.
Well, it sounds like you have your work cut out for you. Give me a call if you need a hand. I'm not good for much, but maybe I can help you manage the chaos.
Aw, Eve.
In my head, I can clearly see her bringing her hand to her chest in appreciation.
I always knew you were good. You just need a push in the right direction.
That's me. Eve the Good Ranger.
Well, Eve the Good Ranger, don't think your newfound kindness means you're off the hook.
Her voice gets quieter, and she sounds closer than ever, as if her lips are brushing against the mic.
Not by a long shot.
Fuck. Static.
Over and out.
More static. I set aside the mic and headset. An ominous sense of dread washes over me as I drag myself to my spot at the table.
Trouble in paradise?
Yosemite peers over her book and flops down on the chair, glancing over at Yellowstone, who's busy working away at the sink. What have I said about opening doors and not closing them? If I close doors when I enter and I'm going to leave again, you guys should too. It's starting to get fucking annoying.
Nothing worth opening wounds over.
Sunlight bursts through the window, the flimsy curtain doing little to inhibit it. It drapes itself like a lazy cat across the table, warming the pages in my hand. I pick up my pen, it in my grasp over Teddy. One page already half full with words. I pause, staring out the window, as I try to think of what to write next. Yosemite alternating between sipping her tea and writing a few words at a time. She catches me staring once. But rather than challenge or an insult, she just nods in acknowledgement. An unspoken truce between us. Not far away, Pup and Zion sit beside each other on the floor. Pup wolfs down a bowl of the finest puppy chow, his long tongue assaulting every single speck of food. Zion balances her bowl of oatmeal on her knee, a generous portion of raisins decorating its surface. She tries, unsuccessfully, to feed one to Pup.
That's not coyote food either, is it?
Yellowstone glances over from the hot stove where she's cooking. Zion looks up at a raisin stuck in her fingers.
Coyote food?
Yup. Weren't you saying the other day that he shouldn't have any people food?
Zion frowns for a second, then smiles wide.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Sorry, boy. I shouldn't have teased you with this.
The raisin on her finger rejoins the rest of its kind. Pup seems wholly indifferent. He finished his meal and is pushing his bowl around the floor as he tries to slurp up every last morsel. Yellowstone smiles to herself as she stirs the edge and flips. Fuck, I highly apologetic, I didn't mean to hit my mic. Yellowstone smiles to herself as she stirs eggs and flips the pancakes. I'm not sure that anyone else sees. As she cooks, she occasionally darts away from the stovetop to place an errand book back on the shelf or wipe down stains left behind my coffee mug. She rinses out the percolator and deposits it in the sink. Then, with the same motion, she deftly slides a perfect round pancake onto a plate. She repeats the process several more times before carrying 2 steaming plates onto the table.
Bon appetit!
It's the thought that counts. She slides over the plate in front of me. It's laden with scrambled eggs and equally fluffy pancakes.
This looks great, like always.
Yellowstone beams in response. Then she swips over the other side of the table, proudly delivering Yosemite's breakfast a safe distance away from the open book. Yosemite slides away as she picks up her fork.
Thanks.
Yellowstone's hand freezes just inches above the tabletop. Setting down the bite of food I was about to take, I stare at Yosemite.
What?
You thanked her instead of being an asshole. You're learning! She hurriedly chews and swallows her first bite of food, looking from me to Yellowstone, then back again. 2 big old tears swim in Yellowstone's eyes. Tears of joy.
Don't mention it.
I can't believe my ears. She knows how to say the T word after all.
Yosemite glances at me. It's not as sharp as usual. After all, she knows she can't really deny it in this case. So she just rolls her eyes and sheathing the daggers in them, and goes back to her breakfast. And with a bounce in her step, Yosemite goes back to her own meal. The pancakes are as perfect and delicious as before. I devour them with gusto, a lot like Pup with his meal. Some of the syrup from the cakes has spilled over onto the eggs, giving those a twinge of sweetness. I scarf them down too. I'm still watching through the video and trying to see what to edit. This is gonna be a long video, my guy. It's Dungeons and Dragons. Of course it's gonna be long. We spend our whole meal in comfortable silence, save for the occasional whine from Pup and giggle from Zion as she plays with him. Once we're finished back to it, alright. Once we're finished, I collect both my plate and Yosemite's and start carrying them to the sink. Like a homing missile, Yellowstone intercepts me, whisking the plate out of my hand before I can even protest.
Oops, I can handle those. Just gotta shake a tail feather here.
Half a pancake and most of Yellowstone's scrambled eggs remain on her plate.
It's okay. You can finish eating. I can take care of these.
I reach for my and Yosemite's plates once again, but Yellowstone holds them out of reach. There's already a precarious stack of dirty dishes in the sink, and I don't know how she plans to add these to the pile without making any mess.
It's no sweat. No siree.
Despite the visible beads of sweat on her face, Yosemite keeps up the charade.
Hey, seriously, just let...
Yosemite starts to lose her balance, and the syrup fork slides from plate and clatters on the ground below. Pup flinches in surprise, growling at the insolent piece of silverware that's daring to enter his domain.
Oops! Sorry about that.
Don't worry about it.
Here you go. It's even dirtier now, though.
Dirt and dust cling to the maple syrup, clogging up the tines of the fork. Yellowstone grimaces as she tosses it into the sink, aware of the extra scrubbing it'll need. I settle back down into my seat, recognizing that Yellowstone's not going to let me win here.
I mean it. I don't mind helping out.
But Yellowstone just waves away my offer, despite the fact that she's using one hand to balance our dishes, and her other hand to try to cut her pancakes so she can eat.
It's okay.
With a deep, deep sigh, Yosemite places a bookmark in her page, or in her journal, and stands up. Everyone turns to look at her, expecting some tirade about how she can't focus with all his noise going on. I'm not even gonna ask where that came from. But instead, she faces Yellowstone and smiles.
How about I help out instead?
Hey, she's done being an asshole. Yellowstone's face cycles through a variety of emotions faster than I can process. To her credit, she doesn't start crying again.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. Now hurry up before I change my mind.
Okay.
Alrighty. Educate yourself. I set Teddy aside. Outside, a loud bang begins to disturb the quiet park. There's a distant, distinctive sound of a door being thrown open, then familiar voices can be heard.
You had taken care of it last night. I don't know where the stinking office is, and I don't know if they can help us.
Let's go find someone. We can't go all day without water.
I know. Just give me a second to think.
Ah, fuck. The bickering couple from yesterday with their clunky tin can. I reach for my hat and put it on, adjusting my uniform just a bit so my badge is visible.
Are you gonna go give them what for?
No, not this time.
I head to the front door, my hand on the knob. From the sink, Yosemite glances over at me. Her shoulder throws me a nod. Oh, and throws me a nod.
I'm gonna go help out.
Ah, she's learning. Don't worry. This one was just a wee bit longer than the first one. I'm skipping the credits.
Howdy-o, campers! And welcome back to another edition of mine and Zion's Fireside Chat.
Hello. It's very nice to be here.
This is gonna be 4 hours instead of 3, isn't it? This better not be 20 minutes long.
There was a whole lot of ruckus about the Yellowstone supervolcano in today's episode. We're pretty sure most of you got the gist of it.
Yep.
But we're a tiny bit afraid it might have gone over some of your heads.
Oh dear.
I know it would have whizzed over mine if it weren't for the fact that it is my head.
So that's what we're going to talk about today. Some basic information about the Yellowstone supervolcano.
Alright.
Yosemite says learning is super important, so I hope you can take this knowledge with you wherever you go in the world.
I hope I can as well.
Cause you just gotta know a thing or two about gastrology if you like national parks.
I think you meant to say geology, Yellowstone?
Geology!
Great! Now just say that word over and over until you can't forget it.
No, please don't.
Geology.
So while she's doing that, I should probably start off by explaining that the supervolcano is what we call a caldera.
Mm-hmm.
A caldera is a big hollow space that's made after a lot of magma is shot out during an eruption.
Nice.
If enough magma is shot out, the ground above it loses support and the whole thing goes tumbling into the magma chamber.
That's geology for ya. Can't understand a lick of it.
Well, I'm glad you remembered how to say it at least.
Wowzers, give me some credit here. There's a whole lot of stuff I can remember.
Really? I'd like to hear what you know.
Okie dokie, artichoke. Hang tight, cause I'm about to drop some super hot volcano facts on ya.
Welcome to the very end of the stream, Enigma. This is a game about, this is a visual novel where all the girls that you are with, except for the main character, who is also a girl, are national parks. You've missed an entire story.
First off, the volcano has only ever had a gigantic eruption 3 times. And they all happened between 2.1 million years ago and 640,000 years
but
ago.
But they're here, I think.
Does that mean when you
I don't
almost flipped your
fucking
lid,
know.
that was the first time it had been active in a super duper long time?
So now they're talking about the Yellowstone supervolcano. Because this is like a little in-between episodes that why you have it unlisted? I think I changed it from unlisted, didn't I? It's not okay. So it's in games and demos right now. But just so you know, it's just common practice what I do here with games that don't have a listing on Twitch. This game doesn't actually you can't search it and find it on Twitch. I mean, you do have it. I mean, do you have Under Night as a fighting game? I have it under games and demos at the moment. And they don't have a listing for visual novels. Do you have Unlist? No, I don't have Unlist.
Nuh-uh. Just because it hasn't gone kaboom in a minute doesn't mean it's not active.
This game is tagged as a fighting game. It is not tagged as a fighting game. It's puzzled as it's titled as a lot of things, which it's not any of them, because it's under fucking games and demos. I don't know why they're all here. Oh, it is tagged as fighting. This is weird. So, I put it under games and demos, and it just tags all of these things, which it isn't, and I didn't tag them, and I can't remove them. So I don't know what to do.
What?
Oh yeah, there's plenty of good old-fashioned
Which is why I had it
volcano junk
unlisted
happening
for a very long
underground.
time, and then someone
In
said
fact,
you
the
should
cause
put it
of-
under Night in Birth Seer is a really good fighting game. So I switched it to games and demos because someone recommended switching it to games and demos.
One sec, gotta look at my hand.
And instead of it being unlisted.
Geothermal. In fact, it's because of all the geothermal vents that we have a whole slew of geysers across the
It also
park,
has a VN
including my
portion to
gal
it?
Old
Ah.
Faithful. Ain't that just groovy?
Gotcha.
That is pretty dope AF.
Some of the Fate illustrators also work on the game. Ah, cool.
But what if it goes kaboom for real? It's a little scary to think about.
If it goes kaboom for real, all of America dies.
No need to freak. As long as I don't flip my lid again, it should be all good in the neighborhood.
Mostly competitive fighting game. But its story is also really good. The problem is I'm terrible at fighting games.
That's a relief. Thank goodness.
But
Uh-oh.
a lot of tiny earthquakes do happen in Yellowstone, somewhere in the ballpark of 2,500 every year.
Oh. That's more than I would have expected.
Relax! It's just nature doing
Don't
its
worry, I
thing.
can teach you how to play.
It doesn't sound so bad when you say it like that.
It's totally gonna blow one day, though.
Please don't say something so terrifying so casually.
If it blows, we all die. Just immediately.
Not today, cutie. Or tomorrow. Or even in the next couple centuries. But it will. One day.
What if it just goes tomorrow? Besides, the game has a really good tutorial. Nice.
And when it does, a big old plume of ash is gonna pelt down on Wyoming and all the other surrounding states. Plant life and livestock will be suffocated by it and kick the bucket. Maybe even regular folks, too.
Fuck.
Buildings and equipment are probably gonna get squashed by all the rock. Entire communities might be wiped off the map.
I think you should take a good look at it before you judge. Okay.
Worst case scenario, the delays in agriculture and production could lead to a global economic freefall. Whee!
That's the bed. You want to break the bad news.
Looks like we're all out of time.
Why?
Catch you next time, campers. And remember to love our parks.
Security license doesn't give them strip searching rights.
Tyler requested a strip.
The map?
No.
You requested to be strip searched,
No,
Tyler?
Marcus said he was gonna strip search me.
Because he said.
I don't want to be a part of this conversation.
You're a part
Because
of
I'm
it.
not a part of this conversation.
You are.
No. Alright.
I'll send you a note.
I will see you all next. That is Discord, not Streamlabs. Fuck. Let's send you all to Nui, I guess. I never send people to her, so we might as well.
It's totally erased it.
How?
I don't
Alright, I will see you all next time. I hope you all have a nice day. We should be doing like FGO or something. We'll see. Bye.